Yes, we're live with sound.
Well, while you're saying that, I just want to let everybody know, due to technical changes in the way the city does their outlook online and the way we were doing it, we're just faced with a problem and we're open to any suggestions to help us with the situation. It's not our intention to not have it live. But unfortunately, this meeting had to be because we're just not connecting with the city's website now. Okay? But the meeting is being recorded and it will be posted on our website at a later time. It's just that people on the outside won't be able to say anything.
Well, yeah,
That's true.
that's accurate, although we are streaming, just, you know, see
I
this.
don't know.
They're allowed to record as long as it doesn't become a distraction, so if they start getting into
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, we start the recording. We'll put this.
I want to call the March 11, 2025 planning board meeting to order. And at this meeting, I'm gonna change the format. Because of the number of people that's here, I want to get some things out of the way. And so we're gonna move up a couple of things. One of the things we're gonna move up is the revote, as we said we would do, for the Colorado planning public hearing. So we're gonna do that, and we're also going to let you know that State Street will not be here. They're not coming tonight, they're on the agenda, but at the last minute, a couple things came up, and they're not able to. They have issues with the code enforcer, so they have to go back, so they're not gonna be here tonight, okay? That's the first thing. So, we have two board members, one is coming late, and the other one. I don't know. So we have a quorum, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, can I get a roll call? Randall,
The president,
Dr. Young, present. Virginia, present. Eugene,
president.
Teresa, present. Okay. We're all here. Okay, can I get a motion to, now you all got the information, we heard the public, we got your concerns, we got your letters, we read your letters. And we want to thank you. So I would like to move to a motion to do a revote on whether or not we want to have a public hearing for the dock at Colorado.
Do you have a date?
Gene is gonna check the date. It's not this one there.
This is April. Well, there's a month or April.
April.
This is April.
It's Tuesday, this I know Tuesday.
Conservation of that.
On the 8th? How about the,
April 1st.
how about the 7th?
Planning board meeting, 6:30.
7th. That Monday.
7, the informal meeting, council, 6 P.M.
Okay. So the days we have open is the 4th, which is that Friday, and then,
Oh, we can do it here, I thought we could do it at the firehouse, so we're gonna.
yeah, we're trying to get a date first.
Yeah, okay.
And we're gonna, if this vote passes, it'll be at the firehouse.
Yeah.
But you're looking at the firehouse right now?
Yeah, that's good there. We're trying to get a date for them, if we pass, let's. So
No,
we
you
need to
need to make
get
a
a
motion
date.
for a date for the time.
So help, it's gotta be either the 4th, the 10th, the 14th,
11. That's.
Are they falling on a Tuesday or what day that's on?
Yeah.
They're different days. I'm gonna do it Friday.
okay, I'm gonna give the dates.
Second.
4th,
I would say Friday.
which is a Friday, 10th is a Thursday, 11th is a Friday. 14th is a Monday, and this is of April.
6:30?
17, 18th is Thursday and Friday.
You said April?
No,
So
so,
it's 6:30 p.m.
yeah,
Cannot do,
Yes,
would not be able to do the 14th at 2.
so let's make it.
Again, this is April, right?
yes,
Yeah. So April, Fridays? we do?
April tenth, the Thursday.
It's a Thursday, April 10th.
Oh, that's fine.
April 10th,
Yeah.
What date is it fall on?
Thursday,
Thursday.
6:30.
That's fine.
Thursday, April 10th.
Yes,
We got now to.
what you, Jean?
So. we will perform-
Yes.
Yes. All right, can I get a formal motion?
I make a motion that we,
Let's discuss it.
we vote for the, public hearing and that it
Well, we
will.
gotta vote on the public hearing, but if it passes,
I try to get it
I
together.
think one vote.
Yeah, and that if it passes, that we do that meeting on April 10th
okay, so let's vote.
At 6:30 p.m.
at class.
So let's vote. Randall? Public hearing for Congress.
No, I made the motion, so I'll second it.
Who
I
says?
second it.
All in favor?
Any opposed?
Any names?
Any nays for that? Okay, so we all, yay?
It passes 5.
So,
Okay, so it's passed, so then we'll be. Okay, that's it. Okay, yeah, Thursday the 10th, 4:10, 6:30. And we're gonna try and do it at the firehouse, and if for some reason we can't, because we haven't checked with them yet, we'll notify you. We'll post it, okay? Alright. Now, can I get a motion to open public hearing for the boulevards? That's 117-19 and 121 Fairview Avenue.
I make a motion.
And I'll second it.
All in favor? Are they here?
Yeah.
Do we have any public comments on the boulevard? We're not online, you're not online that way.
Oh, I Nicole Peter, and I support the boulevard. I think it's a great place for that to happen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we don't have any, but we can't do people online, so, all right, so can I get a motion to continue the public hearing for the boulevards? For, what is the next planning board meeting, April 7th?
We want to get into these.
April 8th.
Want to give them 2 months?
Do you, have you spoken to the applicant? Do you know where they are? We're waiting on new information.
Yes, we're waiting on new information. Don't know if they're gonna get it back to us.
Okay, so we'll give it to them for, May.
It's up to the board.
So you all want to give them, they haven't. You all understand that the boulevards have not really responded to what they need. Okay, can we get May?
But what happens if they give something 2 weeks in advance of our April meeting?
We can always put them on.
Okay.
Then you will just have.
Yeah.
May.
Have they submitted all the documentation?
No,
What are we waiting for?
There was an outstanding engineering letter, outstanding attorney letter, and they haven't responded to this on us.
escrow. They didn't even pay that.
So what, why don't we just?
Your escrow's outstanding.
For next month and continue on there for that.
Okay,
I keep getting turned on.
so you will do it for next month or for May?
Yes. I'm saying, why don't we just put them on a, continue the public hearing until next month?
Okay,
If they have the information there, if they don't, then we'll just.
so what's that? May, what,
April 8th.
April 8th, 2025.
But then we would say, like, you know, right, if we put them off the map, could we not? Do a lot for somebody else, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
fine.
So why don't we just put them off the map and get somebody else that open it? Meeting. If it's ready.
okay, let's vote on it. April, how many people want? A motion to
To continue?
continue them April, the 8th.
A second.
Jean and Randall.
Regina Randall?
No.
No.
Well,
The youngest
general,
one,
all
no.
in favor?
And no, only 2 people are saying yes. And right now.
Well, no, we seconded it, so we can take it to a vote.
The motion's
Okay.
made, second and nine vote on it.
Okay,
Okay, all in favor of April 8th. All in favor of April 8th, continuing.
nay,
Okay, the motion fails.
The doctor say?
It fails.
I
you
didn't-
said nay.
Yeah, it not continuing.
So okay, so that's failed.
And then
We're gonna continue them. All in favor of continuing them, May
May 13th,
13th.
need a motion.
Motion,
Second,
Also. On favor?
Jim,
No.
and
Aye.
all aye.
So it's 3 ayes and how about 2 ayes? It's 4 ayes. and
4-1,
one.
okay.
Okay, so it's passed.
Nothing I can-
Okay.
And they can submit new information before then, it will just be on for workshop.
No, in the way, Dr. Young's right.
Some penalty.
We'll do something again.
No. Didn't you?
Okay,
Okay.
can I get a motion to open up the public hearing for Mill Street lofts?
make a motion.
second,
All in favor? Okay, Mill Street, are you here? Okay, so after the.
Oh, just in case people-
I want to make an announcement that Colorado Russo will not be discussed tonight. I'm not taking public comments, I'm not making any, we've already made our comment that we're gonna have a public hearing, but they're not gonna be discussed.
So are we not on the agenda?
No.
next month,
Yeah, we're gonna have a public hearing next month.
But not on the eighth.
Oh, it's gonna be on April, what was it, 10th? April 8th.
Let's talk April 10th. We can talk about the agenda, whether you're ready to be on or not. Because there was no new information for the board to discuss at this point. So I would expect that you won't be on the agenda, and there'll just be the public
Oh,
hearing.
you'll let us know.
Yeah,
And then after the public hearing, you'll come back into the agenda.
well, you were only on the agenda for the vote, that's it, nothing more, okay?
Yep.
All right. So I want to, have a good evening. Yeah, next month we'll let you know, it's going to be on what, the 10th?
Yeah.
The 10th, 6:30, we'll let you, for sure, it's gonna be at the firehouse, we're looking into the firehouse.
Thank you.
And you should be, prepared to make a short presentation.
Rob?
I'll wait.
Yeah.
Now, are you ready?
Yeah. Okay, Mill Street, how are you? I see you sent in a lot of information, so we're gonna let you go over some of the stuff you sent in.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Sean Carney of Carney Realty Group, Andy Leonard of CPL, the project civil engineer. We have a number of updates that we'll go through this month as part of this month's submission. We have updates to the renderings, based on feedback we received, last month, as well as updates to the site plan. We did propose an alternate, facade design,
Yes.
and we'd like to get any feedback that the board may have on that. As well as a number of, site improvements and advancements that Andy can walk through.
Yep, all right, so I'm just gonna step through, some of the comments very quickly that we have
Yes.
addressed in your comments. Starting
Let me
with
just remind you, we sent them, remember we sent them a whole bunch of comments from the public, from us, and they've addressed every last one of them, so they're here tonight to present those.
why don't we invite the folks that are standing out there to sit down, because there's plenty of
It's up to them.
seats now. Yeah,
It's up to them. I don't think they're here for
okay.
what's happening. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So starting with the tree clearing comments about, adding additional clearing behind retaining walls. We did adjust that, based on, your comments, so we pulled that tree line back slightly. Mostly in this area, behind building, 1. But at the same time, we also tightened up the tree clearing limit, on this end over here, at the end of building 2, where we were clearing more trees than we needed to. So overall, there was just a slight reduction in the tree clearing, that's required.
Can I ask you a question? Have you been taking down trees there? No. Has anyone been taking?
No, we've had some equipment there for
Test pits?
test pits that may have resulted in some small trees being not damaged.
Because it looks
nothing
like
large.
somebody's doing clearing over there.
Our test pits were done for a while,
Yeah, they've been done for a while,
so I think, what was that, last summer maybe?
Oh,
maybe the fall, yeah,
well, maybe it looks that way because, there's no leaves on the branches.
right, that's possible.
So,
You wanna get over here? So when you present, yeah, so everybody can see, just get right behind,
In front of
the fireplace.
Us and the board?
Yeah,
you gotta
every-
move out there, get-
yeah, so the public can see, sorry.
Now, just by way of identification, where you got the green, those are trees?
Sorry, this is,
Planting?
what I'm pointing at right now is the landscaping plan, so these are proposed,
What's in the big green circle?
those are trees.
Okay.
All right, just push the chairs in, I'll push them out of your way.
Just watch your wires up there.
Can everybody see? Yes.
And where you got, green sort of in the rectangles? That's other plantings, yeah,
Yeah, these are all plantings.
okay.
Yeah, so, just, I guess while we're looking at it, one of the changes that we made, the board had requested some plantings in the center of the parking area. We have previously proposed that to just remain as a painted asphalt area. We've since revised that to be a planting area with some shrubs. And we were also able to add some more plantings, along the front of each building, as well as in the corner here. We created a landscape island in the corner, where it was previously proposed to just, painted asphalt. And then we have additional plantings along the frontage of the street.
What type of plantings are those, little round trees? The little round ball that you have there? Yeah, what is that?
Sorry, which one? The big ones or the little ones?
The one you just pointed out, what is that?
Tree. Those are red maples.
And at their mature height, what would they be?
The big trees?
Oh, gosh, probably about, red maples are probably about 30 feet, I believe.
So you.
40 to 50
feet.
But, okay, where's the sidewalk? Oh, which way am I looking? Where's Mill
The
Street?
buildings are.
Where is Mill Street on this?
This is Mill Street.
Yeah,
So you're gonna have big trees along, where's the sidewalk?
Sidewalk is right here. Along the frontage, on this will be the southwest.
Okay, when people are entering and exiting, would those trees block their vision?
I don't believe so. We have, there's a pretty wide entrance here per design requirements. They would be able to pull up here and have a fairly clear line of sight in both directions.
but that would effectively kind of screen your complex from the occupants of the house across the street. And once they mature.
It's not gonna make it invisible.
No, I understand, yeah, I understand.
It will
There's
help.
a landscape involved.
Yeah.
It'll soften it, put it that way. All right, so that was pretty much everything we had on the tree clearing limits. The trail. When we originally proposed this, we didn't really have any detailed topo in the areas. We kind of showed a straight line from the end of Third Street down to Mill Street. Now that we have topo, we realize that that's not realistic because the slopes are very steep.
So you're talking about the ramp that you're gonna have to go all the way up?
So the trail we're talking about from the end of Mill Street, or from the end of Third Street down to Mill Street.
Right, you're eliminating that.
It's gonna be very difficult to construct, so if the board is okay with getting rid of it, I think that would be
What you
ideal.
propose is with curves.
With curves, it's gonna be a very difficult
Right,
to build, yeah.
right.
So,
And nothing was ever there before, was it?
There was some stairs and a path, but I don't think it was constructed by the city or anybody else. I'm not 100% sure. It was just people going up and down the hill, going to the ball game, softball games or soccer games down on the lower field. But that was 40, 50 years ago.
Okay. So you know, like I said, based on, you know, the details that we've been provided, looking at like just US Forest Service trail construction details, even though you have a maximum slope of 10 to 15%, and the slopes in this area are around 50. So it's gonna be a very challenging construction. It's
Are you
important.
doing any erosion control on that hill?
Well, we would, it depends on whether or not the board still wants us, is willing to allow us to remove the trail from the plan. If we do, we'll absolutely. have to-
No, but I mean, as is, you still have to do erosion control, don't you?
Oh, as part of the project? Oh, absolutely, we have a
Yeah,
full
so
plan,
that's what I'm-
yes,
Okay, we will wait to the comments.
okay, bus service. We did provide a letter from the county transit, service. Basically, they have existing bus stops, at the intersection of, State and Second and Harry Howard and the Empire Trail, so, you know, roughly the bottom corner here and somewhere over here where the trail intersects. The bus service, if a resident can't walk to those locations, they're willing to deviate their route up to 3/10 of a mile. So our property is well within that distance.
What do you mean? They're gonna come down to, Mill Street and then come in front of your property?
Right, so they could come,
They would come into our complex and
Good.
right,
pick up,
They would
anyone.
Because that's what I thought I saw the letter say.
So I guess the confusion in the past was we were proposing to provide a bus shelter.
Yes, that's a.
If any of our residents can't access the current bus route, they could call to get picked up in front of the building. But the bus shelter was in the event in the future that demand in that area warrants extending the bus route.
Right.
There'd already be a shelter there, but the city wouldn't have to, or the county wouldn't have to pay for it for bus.
Right, and that's what you're gonna provide the shelter.
Right, so yeah, go ahead.
We are proposing a bus shelter at the existing trailhead here at the intersection of Mill and Second Street. And the sidewalks would allow, you know, provide safe access
Where
for
do you,
residents.
where, at the,
Right, right.
all the way over there?
The rendering is a little bit, you know, misleading. This is actually grass here, but
Whose land is that?
it's the city's property.
Have you spoken to the city about?
Spoke to the DPW and they had no issue with us putting it in this area.
So the people will have to walk all the way to the corner.
For those, for individuals who can't access
They
the
will
bus
call.
stop, they can still call.
Okay,
But here we thought it was more convenient, one, to eliminate bus traffic on Mill Street. It allows the county transportation not to have to make any turnarounds, and they can continue on city streets, which the county transportation prefers. And it makes it more than just the Mill Street or Charles Park bus stop, it also is readily available for the dog.
And how far in advance do they have to let the bus company know if they need to get them done?
It says within 24 hours.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Now, school buses, because I'm assuming that they'll be, young kids, they'll still be able to come closer in.
They can come into our site and turn around and stop.
okay. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay, so as far as the turnaround at the end of the street, we've kind of talked about the fact that the buses can turn around in sight. We've already designed and showed that a fire vehicle can come in and turn around, emergency vehicles can come in and turn around in our sites. We're minimizing traffic to the extent possible on Mill Street as much as we can. So based on that, we don't feel that the turnaround at the end is absolutely necessary for our project. We are proposing to improve what's there. What am I forgetting? And then we also have, you know, we understand that construction of a cul-de-sac, based on your consultant's recommendations, is possible, but we do have concerns that, constructing the cul-de-sac over the existing trail at the end, which would be required, could potentially be alienation of parkland.
The rail trail, that's on the right way.
Right, but didn't we talk about that with the city?
Yeah, we did talk about it, Andy.
And there was space between the rail trail and city-owned property where, Christian can speak to it, but where there appears to be room to put in a turnaround.
Yeah, but what he's saying is that the trail which goes down Mill Street, it goes down the road. There's no separate trail.
Right,
Continues on through. And there's a potential in saying that that would have to be alienation that you need to go through, because it is the trail.
Because we would have to build on a portion of the trail that's beyond the existing bollards that are.
It's not
also
parkland,
the city.
it's city right of way.
I think this, wouldn't this be beyond the? No,
Yeah, what, I mean, what would we
It
require?
appears, the right of way goes beyond the edge of the road. I mean, we may wanna have a meeting to talk about it. So
Yeah.
the concern is that you're bringing a lot of extra people down the road. So if they overshoot your project, delivery trucks, they get to the end, they're stopped. Cause the city's gonna be eliminating the parking lot, so.
It would be pretty hard to miss this site,
Well,
just saying.
to ensure the safety and the general welfare of the community, I think you should reconsider that. Of course,
I mean, if,
Cause it is a narrow street, so
It
if
is.
it is a truck, we had to back down the street.
and you are
You
bringing
go back
way
out
more
of
people in that
that
area.
But just to completely frame it, we won't have any traffic for whether it's emergency, school buses, our tenants going down to the end of Mill Street. Everyone can come into our site and turn around. In addition, any fire service accessing Mill Street prior to our site can utilize our site to turn around and leave. So we're improving the turnaround that's currently there. We're proposing to improve it. But do a full cul-de-sac. We're also doing the additional improvements on Mill Street, which I don't think we got into yet, but we're extending the sidewalk all the way down to the Second Street.
Well, see, you're going on the premises that everyone that comes into your complex is gonna park in your complex. That's not gonna happen. You're gonna have people that's gonna park there, and you're gonna have plenty of people that's gonna visit. And, how many people, what do you have? How many, 70? Okay, times that by 4. So you're gonna have people come in, visit, park at the sidewalk, then they have to go all the way up and turn around. So, you know, I really do believe you need to be considered a cul-de-sac.
It was also a condition of seeker, I believe, wasn't it?
Well, it's a condition of your.
Can have another one.
That's what it is.
So let me be clear, you have the main driveways like here,
right,
is that a secondary driveway back by the?
this,
Yes.
this is the pedestrian crossing.
Okay, so there's only one really main driveway into the property.
And you know, the cul-de-sac is crucial to the density that you're going to bring into that area. You know, you just can't assume that everybody's gonna come into your area to park. That's not so. They're gonna probably park in the park, the sidewalk or whatever. But a cul-de-sac would help alleviate that traffic going in to turn around and just go to the end and turn around. And you can do it. And you can do it.
Have you spoken to the school district and the fire department, because I'm not familiar with Hudson School District and their busing policy, but some buses won't go and turn around on private property. Is that something that they will do here?
I don't think do they go into the towers to turn around? I mean, to the Bliss Towers? No, they
No,
go on the
they're
street.
outside, they're-
They stay on the street,
Yeah.
right? So they're gonna need a turnaround. You're right, exactly.
Well, I think you should, you know, get us the letters from, you said the fire department, the bus company.
Would we need we can reach out to the school district for the fire department, we're showing the turnaround access. Would we need a letter from them as well?
For what? For not to do it?
I don't know.
No.
So they're showing full movements of the, you know.
Well, I know
bus fire.
the buses, when they go to Bliss Towers where they pick up lunch, they do not go into parking. They stay on the streets.
Is that also for special needs children as well, because they do have kind of busing and sometimes. those
I think
buses
even
go
special
to the
needs,
door-
they have to bring them
to the doorstep, you know, you don't necessarily for them to do, go to the doorstep.
And
Or
the
in that
towers, I
building
don't
to the
think
main
I think they
entrance.
bring them out.
I would think.
So, you know, this is something we talked about and we really would like to see. Okay?
We can continue to look at.
Would it make sense to have an offline meeting,
I think over there.
you know,
Okay, so we,
with Teresa, we'll get the city mayor,
I think Rob Perry should be involved.
Rob Perry, And we can all get around and discuss it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, any more questions from the planning board, because I'm more upstairs.
I can just run through real quick, usable open space, we did provide a letter from the code enforcement officer indicating that that's all set, no further variances are required. We did show the egress locations on all the buildings, it's compliant with, building code requirements. We do have the updated renderings, as requested last time,
Oh, yeah, that's the updated one?
yes.
Why and what were the changes? What's the rationale?
So the latest renderings, the landscaping plans were still being finalized, so we didn't have all the landscaping shown. I think the hill was incorrectly shown.
Yes.
But you're saying about the facade, I'm questioning the
Oh,
facade.
so, yeah,
That's all I-
we gave another alternate as the facade, the planning board has an inclination to either the first rendering or the second.
But what was the rationale for the second? I mean,
Because you see those trees, they were not, they
no,
made.
I'm talking about the facade of the building itself,
Yeah.
not the landscaping.
Oh,
Yeah, so when we started, we had a single color of plank siding, right, because that, besides masonry, is pretty typical outside of Victorian or second empire, in Hudson, 3 stories with the home with single color plank siding. We thought it didn't translate as well with the larger buildings, so we tried to break it up, we had the brick breaking up vertically on the first floor, and we added another break on the third floor with the change of materials, it's 4 to 10. It's a little difficult to make out, so you have brick, you have plank, and then board and batten.
No. I think I think it's.
And it also shows that the building is below the height of the hill that's there now.
It's difficult to show in the rendering exactly how it is, but the ground at the top of the hill is 20 feet higher than our roof line. And that's not, then you have the trees, which, and then you're at 20 to 30 foot high trees.
Now, your sidewalk is not taking up the street,
No,
it's in a kind of addition, it's on the edge of the street.
We're widening the street, how much would you say?
well, we're widening the street slightly and we're extending the sidewalk from the edge of the street into the further closer to our.
So it's not encroaching on what.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, just now, okay.
It's gonna go all the way down the street now?
The full length of the street, with curbs,
You're gonna,
likely drainage.
One point that I do want to point out to you is drainage along Mill Street now. That's a long way to run curb and, gutter all the way down to the intersection.
Yes, it is.
So whether you put some kind of drainage flumes in to get the water off the road, so it's not, traveling, 1,200 feet or whatever Mill Street is.
Right, understood.
now that's the sidewalk with the guardrail.
Yes, the sidewalk, the guardrail is just here where our site is, where we have the, the channel that's conveying flow from upstream through the site.
Because your channel below,
Yes.
on the other side.
That's right.
Okay.
So then, the only other thing I just wanted to mention is that you had mentioned about the non-climbing fence last time. We just didn't get to it. We're working on it.
You're talking about the fence around
the-
that little,
around
yes.
there. So We'll get that updated for you.
And you still have the path, I wanna see that path going to the back where you call it open space.
We do have that.
So the path in the back here is accessed via building 2, there'll be an elevator to the second floor and a door in the back that would all provide access to just a little walking area with picnic tables, for the residents.
How big is that area? Chris, how big is that?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, they've got it on their plan. But it also has all that woods up there, they have plenty of open space area.
So people go and picnic back there?
Oh, yeah, lay on the grass, sunbathe, do whatever they want.
So when you tie in on the, could you put that one back? Yeah. So when you tie in the outlets off the curb, so that the water doesn't run such a long distance, will it tie right into your drainage in the back?
We'll have to look at that. There is existing drainage, city drainage pipe that we may be able to just tap into existing animals and kind of.
Okay.
That way.
For the storm?
Yes,
You could probably just shoot it off into the ditch if they're right.
it depends on where we are.
Yeah.
Any more questions from the planning board? Okay, we're gonna open it up to the public. Any questions about Mill Street? I'm gonna let Brian raise their hand same time, sir. And when you stand up, if you would, give us your name. Oh, okay, come on.
Where is he?
Come sit,
You can sit in this corner.
Sorry.
you can sit up there if you like. Give us your name and address.
Sure. My name's Jack, building a house at 228 Mill Street,
Okay.
moving in 6 weeks. Couple questions and comments from the submission to this one. First is a simple one on the aerial view. Could you add the Stillman Basin? Right now it's shown as grass. I understand it qualifies as open space, but there's no visual for what the Stillman Basin looks like, whether it's full of water or just a pit of gravel and brick.
It's gonna be
They said,
grass.
yeah, they said they're gonna work on it, they'll bring it probably back next month.
You wanna answer that?
Yeah, I mean, that's correct. It'll be grass.
Okay, it's what's called the dry detention, so it fills up, stores water, and then it seeps back, goes back into the pipe.
Okay, great.
Dry leaves.
Can it never overflow?
Yes.
Yes.
So what are you doing to?
It is a flood zone down there, so it will overflow.
Those were, it was.
It goes, yeah, it goes where it goes.
I just wanna make it better.
If we could, we would.
There's not much money in it, try to make it the best.
Okay, so it's grass. Thank you. I had a question in the correspondence from December. There was a recommendation that there be a wetland field delineation conducted. The south side of this parcel is very wet as it crosses over into the Kelsey's parcel. And as I understand, DEC updated its regulations this year to include new types of wetlands, vernal pools, rare plants and animals, special wetlands that are disconnected, things like that. Increased scrutiny and regulation of wetlands. So I was wondering for an update about that field delineation. And just to point out, if anyone wants to come visit, there's definitely wood frogs back there. They're about to pop off. So if anyone's wondering if it's very wet in the back, it is. And anyone is welcome to come down and take a look.
So, I mean,
I was just gonna, yeah, have a wetland biologist look at it.
we had previously, we had a wetland biologist look at it, and we had it come back, and we did not find wetland. Sorry,
What time of year were they there on the site?
I don't know when he was there.
Well,
But I mean, recently, he was here recently for the most
But
recent
in
request, I don't remember.
when the
first
ground
name.
is, yeah, so that would be relevant, correct?
Yeah.
It's the time of year.
It really doesn't matter the time of the year. If it's a wetland, it's a wetland.
Okay.
And there's criteria that establish if it's a wetland. There's vegetation, there's hydric soils, whether there's water present, there's soil types. And they've got, find all three or four, three of the four items to classify as a wetland.
And so you're saying they didn't?
That's what our wetland
If
biologist.
the wetland biologist said there was no wetland,
determined that there was no
then
wetlands.
there was no wetlands.
And that's supposed to, we've got that on the website.
So, let me,
That report.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the record, that's why I
Okay,
asked.
do you have you have a report?
It was a letter.
Yeah, we have the original
Did
letter.
you upload it into, you get into that?
Yeah.
So we'll double check and we'll
you
resubmit
should
it.
get the new report, but just to be clear, the new wetland regulations came into effect January 1st. It did change the type and following of wetlands, and the state regulates, but the new regs don't apply to the project, that's at this phase already in development. So if this were starting brand new, we'd be working under the new wetland regulations, but because this has already been under review and they have completed seeker, we're under the prior ones.
You're under the what?
Prior.
Okay,
Yeah.
We're gonna take somebody else. and you
Yes,
can come
last
back.
point, I do think that the confirmation from the county that a bus will service that corner is very important. Asking 60, 70 people who don't have bus service, who don't have cars, because the parking lot is not sufficient for the 100+ people who will live in this development, to request on 24 hours notice that a bus come pick them up is not acceptable for this project. We need confirmation that a bus will stop in that corner. I appreciate that it's at that corner.
I think there's something that you.
I thought the 24 hours,
Yeah.
that they would come to the building for someone who can't make it.
But there's no confirmation that it'll come to that corner, right?
Right, they might do that until there's demand sufficient to accept the bus.
Well, you're building the demand, so we're asking that the bus come to that corner.
We're building the shelter at that point, so I mean, if the demand warrants, they could stop that. They won't make that determination until it's good.
And that's under, what division?
County.
County transit, okay, that's under the county transit.
Yeah, it's not, they're not gonna slow down.
Okay, anyone else from the public? That's, Nicole.
I have a few things. Number one, I think the building is totally out of proportion for where you're building it. Number two, I think a blacktop of that size when it's 110 degrees, that's gonna be a very uncomfortable place for people to be in. Number three, you have a parking space for one person in that family. So they can't have two cars because they won't have anywhere to put the other car. So if someone's going shopping and it's 4:30 and it's December 18th and it's cold. You can't really carry shopping bags down from State and Second. So this place needs proper transportation and public transportation, and no public bus is gonna take a call from somebody here and come down and pick them up. That's ridiculous. We all know that. That's ridiculous.
No,
Behind the, wherever you're talking, is where you're talking about the place for people to have picnic tables and enjoy themselves that live in there. Is that the wet part that you're talking about? Is it wet behind
No.
this building?
no,
It's wet everywhere.
no. it's
So
in the
that's
back
not
of the-
wet,
No, it's up on the hill.
okay? I'd love to know what you've done energy wise for these people in terms of, is there solar? Are you using new green methods of heating and cooling? What are you offering the people in the building?
Okay.
In terms of energy saving?
And that's it. You wanna answer? Okay, what's the energy?
Sure, so, we'll start the, these buildings will be LEED certified, we'll use geothermal for our heating, cooling,
Great,
and water.
great.
And there's a few other standards, I think it's Enterprise Green Communities Plus, which talks to our air sealing envelope and our value of our extra walls. So there will be extremely green, and energy efficient.
That's good news.
Thank you.
Playground. Playground?
Nicole, please, we're gonna give
Well,
somebody.
darling, you asked me, and I think there are a few things here that are
Nicole,
really.
I have to put a time on you can come back after other people, okay? Thank you. Who's next?
But there is a play,
Sir, yeah, come on, there's a playground across the street from.
No, right there, on the property.
There's a playground.
Right there.
Yeah, right there.
Between the two buildings.
Okay, we got the gentleman, could you give, Nicole, what was your name? Nicole, Jeter,
What?
address?
39 Allen Street, Hudson, New York.
Thank you.
Nathan Woodhull, 29 Union Street, Hudson, New York. I have two questions. There's like several layers of LEED certification. You mentioned LEED certified, which silver, gold, platinum. There's a whole bunch of, like, it'd be good to know what you're actually in to there. I think things on the lower end are pretty basic. High end are excellent. And then the second question I have is around pedestrian access and just making sure that this development is like connected to the grid, that people are going to be able to walk to the core of Hudson. It sounded like the applicant is committing to sidewalk to Second Street. There's not a sidewalk from there, up the hill, on Second. And it sounded like the board was talking about moving some of the other, sort of things for connecting this development to the rest of Hudson. I strongly believe that these can connect to the rest of the city and not off on its own and only through a car are accessible. especially given the Harlem situation.
Well, I think they are connected, they're putting a sidewalk all the way to, Second Street.
No, up
There's
there,
no-
yeah, but
there's
up
no
there,
sidewalk.
there's no sidewalk.
But there never was one, was there?
But there was never a building like that,
But there are homes there now.
but not at this amount, Teresa, come on.
You know, that slope does not allow that. Okay, that's gonna be pretty, you know, that's gonna be pretty hesitant to put something there. Have anyone ever seen the slope there?
I walked up that hill
It has-
and
it
I
has to
get
be-
halfway up and I'm like, ugh, and I stop. That hill is like that.
Exactly,
So
so.
how's someone gonna walk up with no sidewalks and catch a bus in the winter with their groceries? How's that gonna happen? These are our residents, these are people that are living with us.
Thank you for your comments.
If you don't walk on the street, you can build a sidewalk next to the street.
Well, right now, what they're really trying to do is they've done a lot. They've connected sidewalk, they're bringing the bus traffic down. I mean, some things you will get, some things you won't.
Can
Okay?
you answer the first question he had?
First question, certification? Yeah, so we typically hit gold, so that'll be kind of the benchmark. We haven't gotten platinum yet, but our last 6 projects that are under construction are utilizing geothermal, so we have a shot at it, but we get gold.
Okay. Yes.
Jennifer Dalton, 4th Ward, council member. I represent the people that live there in Mill Street. I was down there this weekend talking with people. No one I spoke to thought this was a great idea. Some of them pointed out some things to me that were very concerning. One of the things is that there's no fire hydrant down there. Is there going to be a fire hydrant?
We were building and extending the water line through Mill Street.
Okay. The sidewalk that you're putting in, does it go through the Kelsey's property?
No, it's fully on the right of way.
Okay, that's another one. One of the people I spoke to was very concerned about her privacy, because these buildings are so high and the buildings on the other side of the street, the small houses, are very short. She said to me, which I thought was so poetic and so poignant and so right on, that you're burying her while she's still alive.
Thank you. Could you stand up and tell us?
Sure. Sean Rowland, 500 Clinton Street.
Thank you.
Had a question. First of all, I just wanted to say I'm generally supportive of the project, and I had a few questions. One for the board. Does the board have purview over like aesthetic decisions, like what the facade of the building looks like?
Yeah. Somewhat.
Somewhat. I guess I would, yeah, like to put on record that I think that a lot of work could be done to make the facade much more attractive. So I would encourage the board to ask for additional renderings or colorways and really kind of delve a little bit into materiality. I think anytime that you add to the fabric of the city, you know, that's gonna be there for the next 100 years and it should be interesting and attractive. So I think housing is important, but I also think like making it attractive is important. So I encourage the board.
Suggestions, you can write in, send.
I think for me, the best way to kind of visualize is just ask the applicant to provide some different options so that then, you know, then those could be considered and, you know, you guys seem professional and have great resources, I'm sure, to be able to do that sort of work. And I think that might help a little bit for at least the public to feel like I've heard that a lot in town from other folks. You're like, oh, it's ugly. It's like, well, let's work on that. Let's workshop it. So that's one comment that I had. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. And I guess my other question or thought is that while the walking or winding path up to 3rd Street sounds hard or expensive, I think that was something I got really excited about when I first heard about the project, and being someone who has walked through that field to get that access, I think that would be a really amazing contribution to, the city of Hudson.
What access are you talking about?
From
The
the
repair
Third
of that,
Street.
the
path
back, the
That
back.
we were just afraid.
So I understand it would be hard, but I also think, nothing that's worth it is ever quite easy. So I would encourage the board to consider making that a requirement project. Or at least, a study so that hard is not a quantitative analysis, so let's hear about what it costs, and if it's not easy, if that tanks the whole project, then that's one thing, but I don't think hard is really quite specific enough for the board to make a determination. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir? Status, your name?
Henry Haddad, and so Warren. I'd like to echo what a few people said about the cutting this place off from pedestrian traffic. It seems very unfair to the potential residents there to not have a contiguous foot traffic flow to the city. You're down a very steep hill on North Second, and putting the steps back in at North Third, which were built by the residents of North Third. And before they were built by the residents of North Third, that was one of the first city dumps at the end of Third Street.
So you're saying there were steps there before?
They were very crude, but there were wooden steps and a little path down to that field. Yes, it's extremely steep, but if you're building this massive structure, two massive structures, I believe you could probably find some sort of renderings or a little bit of planning to put a connection to the city. It seems very unfair to have no pedestrian walkway to a unit that's gonna have 70 potential residents or 70 units. Second, are you raising the grade of where your first level is in terms of where the field is now? Because it's been in the floodplain for forever. And it's gonna flood again. And because it will flood again, are you taking out your building material for the first several feet of that structure, mainly the first floor? And what are you gonna do with your basements that are, your geothermal system is going to flood eventually? I don't see why the planning board is considering an option to build 70 units in a flood zone. It's gonna cost an extremely high value of repair when this floods, when we have another Irene or the like.
Interesting.
The buildings themselves are being raised above almost to the level of Mill Street.
Mill Street, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was underwater several times.
Yes.
The park across the street, the playground, has been underwater several times, which is a few feet higher than Mill Street itself.
Understood.
How
So we're
about the
complying
homes
with
that's
the
there
floodplain
now?
requirements, we're compensating for any fill that we're putting into the floodplain, which is not the full site.
Would you say that again? I'm very sorry, I didn't understand you.
We're fully complying with all the floodplain development requirements, including compensating for any fill that we're placing in the floodplain, which is not the full site.
Do you have confidence in the way it's written now? Doesn't sound like it.
Oh, we have to
Just
go
say
by
you're
our
gonna be
maps.
compliant, but if it's not written well and it's not gonna accommodate safety, then why follow it?
You have in front of the buildings, you've placed a non-permeable surface. And if it's a non-permeable surface and it floods and you're above grade, that's going to flood the houses across the street that have been there. And they worked really hard to be there.
You also have 70 units that, without proper flow to the wastewater treatment facility, that is human effluent that will be in that parking lot, just baking in the sun when that water recedes.
Yikes.
When you submitted the plans, you had shown that you were gonna take care of flooding on your side, you were gonna make it better, but you were gonna get rid of the whole thing.
Well, we can't get rid of it.
Right,
We're, based on the calculations we have, we're not making it any worse. That's all we can do.
Maybe it's in the right spot for this building.
Right. Part of it's back
part of it is the water flowing back in.
But you're not gonna make it even worse with the people.
We're managing our stormwater underneath our parking, and then we're making this dry basin, this dry basin to over excavate in the floodplain area to allow more area on our site to flood than currently is. In an effort to, one, balance the kind development in the floodplain, but also mitigate and flooding in the home of Middle Street and Second Street. No guarantee. There's extensive flooding there. Anything we do on the site is going to resolve that. We're not going to be adding to it. We're going to be helping it by over excavating in the floodplain area. How much that helps if someone's house gets flooded right now, it will be noticeable. I don't.
And any of the stormwater, their new pavement surfaces, they've got an underground detention system to handle all the stormwater from their pervious surfaces. So yes, it is pervious. They have an underground detention system to handle that water.
I didn't understand what you said. Sorry, does everyone else get that?
Yes, there's an underground detention system. It's basically like a chamber that holds water so that when, you know, rain falls, it's collected and stored in that underground detention system. So any of the new impervious surfaces, you know, your concrete, pavement, asphalt, will be collected and detained in that system.
And that's gonna be, I'm sorry, next to the facility in like
That's under the pavement.
a retention pond or a catch basin
Underneath the parking.
underneath the parking lot, right?
Yep.
Just doesn't seem like the right spot to have this in Hudson in this floodplain. The city has been, following the 100-year flood plan since I was on the council, and I think before. That was a study that we spent a considerable amount of money on in the city. And it doesn't really sound like this jives with that. Any other council members remember that? Council president?
So you said it sounds like it, but you're not sure.
I'm being facetious. It absolutely is not following the 100-year flood plan. I believe it's 6 feet.
It's 11 feet in that area.
Over the river at mid-tide.
It's elevation 11 in the 100-year flood zone.
Okay, so this is not in that. This is well below that
This is
11 feet.
12. What's your building set at?
20. Your first floor elevations are 20,
Or 20 above the river.
no, elevation 20.
Okay.
So it's 20 feet above the river, basically.
Well,
Is it?
It absolutely is not over 20 feet, higher than the river at mid-tide.
these, the elevation of the river is probably, what? 5 or 6?
You don't know.
These are points,
This point is about a foot above sea level.
here, the map,
High tide.
the FEMA maps that we are basing our design off of indicate that the 100-year floodplain elevation in this location is 11. So we are placing our first floor elevations at 20.
Supervisor Yasmin made. And everything goes, what level are they?
There's people that read.
Go ahead, I think you're laying a hammer up
Okay.
first.
Supervisor Meskin last week made a really, a good point where, you know, you've got hills on 3 sides of this. They all lead into that spot. All the water runs down there. I know this because I live on the hill that leads to that spot. So it runs through my house and down there. So I'm telling you, I think this, like you said, this is it's a good project in the wrong place. It's the wrong place. It's a flood zone. When you say this out loud, we're building 70 units in a flood zone with a non-permeable surface in front of it. It sounds crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
You wanna go over the.
So the actual flood zone is on our map, it's right here, you probably can't see it from there. The actual flood zone is only in this portion of the property. So that's only the lower fraction of the site, and we're raising the elevation well above that.
And if mold grows in your building, where are you going to move all of the people that already live there? They're gonna be unhoused people. Sorry.
Okay, we're going to, I think we have other people that wanna ask questions, so.
Let me make a statement. The Hudson River in Hudson is 2 feet above mean sea level. So that means the mean sea level 0. Hudson River is about 2 feet. It's got a tidal range of about 4 feet. So we can, what's up? 6 feet. 4 feet in either direction. So that's 8 feet tall. So that means their building is 20 feet above, or 18 feet above mean water elevation on the Hudson River.
And this is the consultant, so please, you could take information and screw it in the way we can, but we have to go by what we, the facts.
Aren't we hired to?
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna have facts, okay? So who's next? Go ahead.
My name's Rob Vogel, 31 Allen Street. It's a great discussion and there's a lot I would want to agree with, but I want to kind of underscore one really important point. You're creating an isolated community for underserved citizens.
Yeah.
So the issue of transportation is not just incidental. It has to be a clearly articulated plan and really think about first mile, last mile. Could be that some people have 2 cars in the cold, but some people may have no cars.
Right.
And so how do we deal with the fact that they're gonna be living outside of the network of the city on a dead end road? So I would just say to the board, underscore the importance of a transportation solution that really is human centered, not transportation system centered. How do we get people from this point to other places in town they need to go?
Okay.
And it's a solvable problem, and a lot of communities have addressed it, and so there's a lot of examples of what we can learn.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Sir?
Yeah, Tony Stone, First Ward. Couple good points here. Excited to hear the building's all electric. And I see fossil fuel free. I do have a basic question just about your layout of the building. Do you guys ever consider having the building flush with the street? It seems very odd for all the neighbors that are on that street to just look at a parking lot that's lit 24 hours a day. It kind of goes against the historic character of Hudson. I've seen other projects that are more successful. 7th Street project that Galloway is finishing, even the State Street project, the Fairview Street project, those are all flush with the street. This sort of seems like a Holiday Inn in the middle of a residential area. It just seems like it'd be a smarter way to deal with the layout and have it integrated into the character of the community. Do you guys thought of that? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the layout, as you can imagine, we've been through many different iterations of the layout. I mean, we settled on this version for a couple of reasons. One is because of the channel that we have to construct to convey flow from upstream through the site. The other reason is to try to keep as much of the buildings out of the floodplain as possible. By placing it up closer to the road, it results in a more significant portion of the building is in the floodplain. So we're pushing it back and keeping it up the hill, into the hill, to keep it as much of it out of it.
Are you saying because it was grade in the parking lot, or how does that work? What's the difference if it was more flush with the street? Because you also say the building is lower than Mill Street?
It's not really about. It's the horizontal, not necessarily the vertical. We're just trying to keep it out of the horizontal plane of the floodplain. As much as possible.
All right, thank you very much.
I mean, one follow-up too, just to Sean's point, I do think materials, there's 3 different materials, one different per floor. That seems a little odd, and certain materials don't age as well. I mean, I would, suggest other materials like brick all the way through, so it's a substantial building. There's unity, it's not fading, materials that are made out of, all sorts of synthetic, you said board and batten on the top, is that right?
Yeah, it's all fiber cement, but the style.
Okay,
Yeah, I
that's.
just think something more substantial to show.
Thank you, sir.
Well, finishing my questions.
Thank you,
If I
sir.
get cut off, nobody else gets. cut
Thank you, sir.
off. So I just wanted.
Because we're
that
trying
first
to
one.
move on, okay?
Yeah. It's a lot.
But still, you know, you can write in if you like.
Okay.
And we do forward the comments to the.
I asked very few questions, you did cut me off, I found very disrespectful.
Anybody else, any more questions? Did you ask a question already, sir?
I don't think I asked.
Oh,
I just wanted to,
name,
Nick Zappos. And
address,
I would like to just reiterate, because I think, it's very often hard for folks who are housing insecure, unhoused, think at these meetings to just remind everybody that we're in a housing crisis. And we desperately need housing. And this is one of the projects that's gonna provide that housing. And, it's super important. I think that a ton of great issues have been brought up here tonight. I think connecting it to the grid is really important. Any way that trail can happen, that would be great. It doesn't sound like everybody understands the way the bus system works here.
no.
We have a bus system that's been worked on very hard by a few local people and is growing all the time and is funded. And you do actually, Nicole, call and request a spot. And that is the local providers who provide bus service here come to that spot. And at a spot where there's more people, if it's an obvious need, they will put it on the
Yeah, they're
list, but
doing
they're
that
not
now.
gonna put it on the list before the need is there. So as soon as it happens, they can, you know, it's a dynamic process where they can pick up people all the time in a new spot. More people move to one area, they can go there. If an individual family moves somewhere where there's not a bus service, they'll switch and they'll start going there. So it's very sophisticated. And it sounds like if you have the ability for those buses to turn around at your, or to go around, then you'll have that. And so the people there, I think if you can get walking access, whether it's a sidewalk or a path going up Third Street, and you have the bus service, that's gonna be huge for the people here, and it is gonna connect to everything. And just a question to clarify some of the other things, who are the long-term owners of this building?
We are.
So if
You raised your hand, right?
Well, Tiffany.
Yeah. Ms. Smith. Oh, Tiffany. Sorry. I apologize. Tiffany, what do you wanna give us your address?
Yeah.
You know.
So I just wanna say, you know, I agree with a lot of what people were saying today. And I am a person that does not drive due to my illness, so I do rely on public transportation. So yes, you can call to find out such things like if the bus passed you already, things of that nature. But there are specific stops. And one thing that I would say is, you all were in charge of this is your project, you should have a relationship with the person that is in charge of transportation. And I believe that's Michael Chalitas, to have that just along the bus route, and that's something that people have to call, right? Because that's gonna be stressed on the bus driver, right? One person calls, the bus comes, and now somebody else calls, they just left. It should just be en route.
Yeah, we've been in
Automatic.
contact with Mr. Chalitas already,
It
so
should have to
we're
be
working
a
on
call, and we're not making reservations for dinner.
So you're suggesting that the bus should come down the
the bus should come just like a car would come down and visit, the bus should come down and pick up the people, go back up, just like it can go all the way around, just like it does throughout the city of Hudson and Greenport and going towards Albany. It should just be in part of the route. Nothing that somebody has to pull in, that's ridiculous. That's just making people feel alienated.
That's a point.
And I have to, I agree with both parties here. When I was on the city council, I did fight for that area to become housing because it is needed. And that was the argument that it is a flood zone. So taking into consideration, you know, I'm pretty sure that's what you're doing, but you know, please be careful because we don't want to give people the hopes of here's your opportunity of new housing, just to find them new housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on. This public hearing will be, continue to be open, so, and you can always write in, we do take your comments. Okay, so can we get a motion can I get a motion to continue this hearing to next month? April 8th. I make a motion that we continue the hearing for Mill Street for April 8th, 2025, okay?
Second.
In favor? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night, sir.
Okay, the board has asked to take a minute or two, so we're gonna get 5 minutes, so the board can just have a break. Thank you.
Thank you all for your hard work. You're welcome. Oh, no, I
I haven't cut this out. And we're on.
You ready, Randy?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, we're gonna call the planning board meeting for March 11th back to order. At what time is this? 7:51 PM. Okay, so now, I told you in the beginning that State Street will not be here. And, okay, so. And we already said what we're doing about Caruso. We will be having a public hearing, which will be held next month on the 10th of April, 6:30 PM, and we're hoping to be at Firehouse. It will be size. So now we're going to call the Hudson Housing Authority, which is at 41 North Second Street, to come and do their first presentation.
Mom does not.
We're gonna ask them. Oh, yeah, they got the application. Hudson Housing Authority, first thing I wanna ask you is, did you pay your fee?
Actually, I have the checks here, I apologize. My name is John First, by the way. I'm the attorney for the project, and I was responsible for cutting the check. Unfortunately, my office does not have power, or heat the last week.
Oh my God.
I do have the checks, I have the checks right here, if somebody wants to take them.
No, plus we're gonna do extra tonight, so you're gonna be able to write another check to take.
Okay, we should be getting our.
All right, so they got two, they have that's one or something else, right? You have two fees, you know that?
Yes, I have two checks now, and I'll get a third one once you guys get the extra.
Oh, great. And then what you do is you upload the receipt onto our portal. Yeah, when you get the receipt, put it in the portal so we can know that's
So you
there.
gotta be able to let people pay by credit card, cause I.
That's coming.
We're working on it.
It really is coming. We're working on it, right?
Do you want to put them over there so you can? see
Yes,
them like
come on, guys, go,
I think move up a little bit, so you can move up.
I'm glad you're here.
Sorry, it's to be right behind you.
Okay, do you wanna come and sit over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna sit right at the end.
Sorry.
He's gonna move over here. Or you can move your table up. Everybody- Try to move up a little bit.
All right, we got a lot of wires, we got a lot of people, rotate this.
Randy, you have to pull your table up.
Callie, you want to come in here? We can squeeze down.
They'd rather do it that way.
Okay. This way you can see the presentation.
I got it. Yeah, put it on the mantle. That's a good idea. Yeah,
It's too much effort, too much hair.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think we should utilize this map more.
We can do a table setup. No, I mean, not tonight, but next time.
Yeah.
Amanda, what would it take to put it on here? Like, something like this.
My okay to stay here?
Like, if they have presentations like this, what would it take to put it up there on the screen?
Well, I really would take them, set it to the advance, but it answers to that. Can you see that? You can try to get one of those.
They do have the other one, they were straight stuff that you do.
Oh, look at that. Oh, when you're ready, just take that. Just push that.
I'll just change this.
Well, I have other.
Yes, it just.
Can everybody see the public?
Should I move over there or stay here? You ready?
Yes, Mr.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth. I'm the chairperson of the Hudson Housing Authority. First of all, I would just like to start out thanking you all for your time tonight. I know it has been a long day for all of us, and this is greatly appreciated and great to me. I would just like to give a little history of my background with the Hudson Housing Authority and the reason why I stand here for every single last tenant, greatly missed family members, friends, associates, and old neighbors who I have seen leave and never returned, even though they would love to for almost 2 decades or more now. I was raised at the Hudson Housing Authority. My parents still reside there. Much of my family and the people that helped create the incredible woman I am today. I'm 37 years old and just moved out of my parents' home at the Hudson Housing Authority 15 years ago. With that being said, I cannot be any prouder of where we currently are and to have the Hudson Housing Authority present to you all tonight. Thank you all again for your time, and now I would love to turn the floor over to the Hudson Housing Authority Executive Director, Mr. Jeffrey Dotson.
Thank you, Ravonda, Commissioner Smith, and good evening to everyone. And I want to thank the planning board for allowing us to come before you again this evening. And I just want to share with you a little bit of history of the HHA. The Hudson Housing Authority owns and operates 2 developments in the city, Hudson Bliss Towers, a 120 unit, 9-story building, apartment building, and a 4-building complex of 15 low-rise apartments located at the intersection of Columbia and 2nd Street. The developments were constructed over 40 years ago and based upon a physical needs assessment. They are obsolete and require replacement. HHA is also under contract purchasing smaller scatter sites owned by the Hudson Community Planning and Development Agency, HCDPA, which will add to that project. Our master plan is made up of 2 phases that proposes the replacement of Bliss Towers and Columbia Apartments with a total of 256 units of affordable housing. This will include 6 townhomes at the city-owned sites, which the Hudson Housing Authority is under contract, as I stated before. This will be a transformative project. It will ensure that the existing residents do not lose housing because of obsolete building conditions, which we now endure. It will expand affordable housing in the community. The number of affordable homes will serve both low-income housing residents, 100 units of extremely low income for households below 30% AMI, and ensuring the city's most vulnerable populations can truly reside in equally decent quality and affordable housing. We will also provide an income mix by providing housing for households with up to 80% of the area median income. We also will present the community with a sustainable project which will achieve the highest levels of sustainability, incorporating geothermal and solar for the preservation of the future. At this time, I'd like to introduce John First, not Jeffrey First, John First, who is our development attorney.
Thank you. Again, my name is John First. I'm an attorney at Catania Mann and Ryder in Newburgh, New York, local land use council here for the Hudson Housing Authority. So just procedurally, so everybody understands we're on the same page. This is essentially a pre-submission conference. We've submitted somewhat of an application. We know we have more information that needs to be provided, but the idea is, and your code permits these pre-submission conferences.
No, this is not a pre-submission.
Essentially it is.
Yeah.
We still have some information to submit before we formally move forward. So the idea is to get some more feedback from the board. The Housing Authority was here a few months ago, many months ago. I think they had a different project I think based upon the initial feedback from the planning board and the public, they reduced the height. They changed they reduced the amount of units, they eliminated some subsurface parking. And again, this is all in response to some feedback from the planning board and the public. So again, since this is somewhat of a new project, they wanted to come back before the board, before they made a more formal and much more informative submission to the board. Just in general, this project is located in the general commercial zoning district, and multifamily uses just like this are permitted via site plan approval from the planning board. In fact, your code specifically calls out for uses like this, specifically for low income housing that's owned by a municipal housing authority. So here we are for eventually a site plan approval process before your board. I'm gonna then turn it over now to the architect, the site civil engineer, and we also have a traffic engineer here as well, but the architect can give you more of the details about the project than I'll ever know.
Thank you very much. I'm Alex Gorlin, of Alexander Gorlin Architects, based in New York, but we've worked around the country and have done a lot of affordable housing in the city, in the Bronx, 500 Nehemiah townhouses in Brooklyn that are prefabricated. So it's wonderful to have this opportunity to come up to Hudson and do work up here. So the concept of the project is to take down Bliss Tower, which is deteriorating, which is here. So this illustrative model shows the phasing. And so also the Columbia Apartments would be maintained as well.
Well, I see that.
So Bliss Tower would stay while phase 1 in 2 sections will be built. And then when it's completed, the people in Bliss Tower and Columbia Apartments will move into the first phase, so nobody will be displaced. And then phase 2 will be built, hopefully. So it will be creating a courtyard instead of a tower. So the tower took up the space, which precluded making this a usable open space. And the idea is to create this open space of 2 acres, which is an offering to the city, which can become a park, to join in the public amenities of the city. As well, we're proposing to pedestrianize State Street, which would still be open to emergency vehicles, but using New York State DOT guidelines to pedestrianize it in a way that rather than become a barrier between the 2 phases, would become a center for public use, and it would actually become a new center for Hudson, New York. So that's the concept of the 2 phases. The aerial view shows also the changes made in response to earlier requests from the planning department. Put that here. So the buildings were originally 7 stories, and they're now all 5 stories and 4 stories. So it's in scale with the neighborhood. And then also we've removed some parking under the building, but added parking in areas around as well as behind to make that an amenity for the people living in the building.
So State Street is the colored.
Yes, State Street.
Is that colored pathway?
Yes, it's a terracotta. It has not been designed in detail, but it shows the idea of closing it off. But at the same time, to open up the street, an extension of Northeast First Street, so that traffic would not be impeded. It would flow around through here.
And what kind of commercial? Would there be like a supermarket? Would there be services provided within the complex for the residents?
Oh, yes.
Like groceries,
Yes.
supermarket?
The ground floor, it has amenities, depending upon who we can find to lease the space.
But so there's
Yes,
not
there
a-
is commercial.
We haven't had anybody make a commitment yet, but we have been talking with some people that are interested. Rolling Grocer was one of them, so we can add that to the bottom of the building. There will be amenity spaces.
And like, I mean, but I'm not sure exactly how all this works, but to have childcare, grocer, you know, other services that would, you know, be like the infrastructure for the residents.
Understood.
To create a community
those-
within a community.
Those are ideas that can be considered, but right now we were focused on our grocery store. That was the amenity that we would like to bring.
It looks like the top of the building, is that solar?
Oh, yes, so the buildings have solar panels to generate electricity for the residents, as well as green roof areas.
Right, that green space on the roof, is that just for cooling?
Just for cooling, it's not accessible.
Okay.
And the extent of this will be determined as we progress with the design. And also, the open space should be considered an amenity also, not only for the residents, but for the community. And this needs to be investigated and studied in detail, but there could be basketball courts, children's playgrounds, open spaces. So
Is that a tennis court or a basketball?
basketball, it's basketball, but the color, I guess, is tennis color.
Doesn't look like tennis
What are the levels of the floors, 7 and 5, you said?
No, 5 floors
5 floors.
maximum,
Okay,
and also 4 floors.
okay. Is the building rate? The largest building there on the left.
This is 5 floors. The land slopes down, so that this is really just the base of the building.
And that's on the north side?
On
State
the
Street
west
side?
side, yes.
The west
North
side?
side, west side.
North side, the
Yeah.
north side,
Yep.
where the playground is now.
Exactly.
Right, maintenance is
Exactly.
growing, right, okay, and State Street's gonna be closed off?
Yes.
State Street's gonna be closed off, not accessible by vehicles.
For
Except
emergency
except for
vehicles,
emergency
yes,
vehicles.
yes.
And somebody said something about First Street being continued over?
The First Street is here.
You're right, well, actually, you can see it on that, right? First Street stops at Columbia Street.
Right, actually, that is, we're restoring, here, this is First Street,
Right,
and actually, we're restoring First Street.
so you're going to
Because this-
continue over to
Up
State
to,
Street.
what is this street here?
State Street.
Yeah, that's State Street, right,
Okay.
and then it can flow. So when this was all built, this was part of the time where you would do mega blocks.
Right.
And you would make much larger scale blocks, and in a way, we're restoring the old grid, really.
Okay, and when you continue First Street over, it's gonna go over to Second Street, I'm sorry, State Street.
State, right,
Then you can take a left and
yes,
go
that's,
west towards the
that's
river.
correct,
Okay, that's what you were talking about.
Right.
How you go around. Okay. And Second Street is gonna remain as is.
yes.
You're not changing Second Street.
No.
So you're gonna do community charrettes so that the tenants get a chance to see it?
Yes, we actually did a charrette workshop back in November.
Right, but not this design.
Yeah.
No,
The only
design.
thing that's different is the buildings are lower.
Right.
So this
Right.
is basically the identical design, and in addition to
But
the subtraction of the subsurface.
But we had a workshop with tenants and everyone, people gave written notes and feedback, and people expressed their desires for, and we broke into small groups. And I also presented various parks from around the world that are 2 acres that can be used as models, not only for the space, but also the program of what amenities people would like to see.
So your current units, total units, that's with the low rise is what? Is it 135 or is it 120?
135.
135.
120 in the high rise and 15 down.
So that means you're building approximately 121 more apartments.
256.
Yeah.
Total.
Yeah, so that's great.
Yep.
So no one.
So we're gonna replace, that's correct, no one will be.
Right, so you're even renting now, so, you know, right, so you have.
And it's of a
very
urgent nature because of the building is obsolescence.
But we wanted to ask about the shrub, because my only comment is, it looks like a very good design, historical design. It's just that with the basketball court in the middle, would there be not too much noise and things like that for residents?
Yeah.
After, you have to limit obviously the
Yeah, I
time,
think
because it's in the center of the
Yeah.
complex.
But you have the street, the walking street separating it.
Yeah, but you have hard services, you're gonna hear everything.
Right, that's true. You're right about that.
No, that's not true, actually. I visited other complexes like this and there's courts in the middle and no, nobody's disturbed and nobody, no, it's the way they have it set up and everything. You don't hear it inside. You hear
Oh,
nothing inside the apartment.
So they designed it that way, so you
Yeah.
can't hear it. Okay, that's considerate.
Actually, it was originally closer to one of the buildings and we moved it towards the center. To be
In
away
addition
from
to the
the-
fact, parents wanna see their children.
Yeah.
See what's going on, so that's a very important.
Randall, I think one thing that's also deceptive looking at it like this is the distance between those two buildings. That courtyard is very large. Like what's the length and width of that courtyard, and you know off the top of your head? Hundreds of feet.
Okay, all right, yeah, because it looks.
It's not closed in,
Yeah.
but it's actually like, it's a big space.
Yeah.
It is a big space.
Trees.
It's all, and this is almost 2 acres.
Now, where
Okay.
did you say the public pool was going?
There's
What?
no.
No.
I said too, they just said, that's what it looks like a pool, not a tennis court.
Be a nice amenity.
They get a multi-functional space.
Yes, I mean, it's still open to program, definitely.
Okay.
I don't know if this has been covered already, so what, facilities do they have for like, the impaired, like, you know, like, is there sufficient wheelchair access, especially if they're like living on different floors?
Oh, everything would be fully accessible, disability accessible, every single apartment. And the percentage prescribed by the state of individual bathrooms would be accessible as well.
Okay.
Okay, so see where the cars are pulling into the buildings. Now, the one on the side near you, Jeffrey, is that Second Street?
That's Providence Hall.
That's Columbia
This is
Street.
Providence Hall, that's Providence Hall, yeah.
That's Providence Hall.
Second Street.
Wouldn't that create a problem? Because that's a major street that people backing out.
You have to.
Why did you do that? To give more parking?
We have a traffic person.
Oh, why did you do that? To give more parking?
Yes.
But it doesn't create an unsafe condition.
Well, nothing is 100% safe. You've got more cars parked on the street, so the more cars you have, the more likely you are to have something happen. It's not unprecedented in the city. There are a number of areas in the city where you have.
And it's unsafe.
So that's why we're here to talk to you about these issues.
Because I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the parking this sideways.
Yep. Okay,
That's.
I hear you.
It's gonna happen. You know, because that's creating to me, you're taking a condition that's okay to an unsafe condition. Cause Columbia Street is, isn't it not one?
But isn't it quieting down the street?
But trucks don't go down that street.
Yeah.
But
Trucks
the
go down that street.
the cars are.
I mean, they try to not let them, but they can't.
yes.
And I think you'd have significantly more blind spots in the back,
Yes.
out,
Exactly.
with kids.
You're correct.
Right, then just leaving it like it is and keep the street as wide as you can.
This is
Parallel.
preventing, this is allowing it not to be, it's actually lessening the traffic and lessening the hazard and making it more of a residential area. And everybody has backup cameras now in their cars. I mean, this
I
way.
don't, the newer ones, but I have it out there that does. Not enough people have it.
But this way, there's not cars speeding down.
They're gonna speed because that project has nothing to do with people traveling that area.
Oh, so it's just parking off the street.
Yeah,
There's
the
still
parking
full
is off,
traffic.
yeah, the parking
Okay,
is
I see.
offset.
Right.
They'd be
So you're
backing
gonna take
onto
the
the
street
street.
parking and turn it
You are
into,
pulling it into the site.
Yeah.
right,
So-
don't you need permission for that to change the way the
That's why
car
we're
park on
here.
the street?
If the board remembers,
we just got done with the boulevard.
Yes.
And had a similar
Exactly.
parking that we made that, you made that change.
Yeah, to me, that's a.
You widen the parking spots so that you have less, blind spots going backwards.
Yeah.
We just had that, you're right.
But the boulevards are very tiny streets compared to what we're comparing here. The boulevard, you can't even take two cars and drive at the same time. Somebody has to pull over so the next car can go. So I don't think we should be compared to the boulevards on that section.
Well, yeah, he's just letting us know that we just, that he used that just to let us know that we have an issue with the pulling in and backing out.
Yeah, we'll certainly look into that issue, whether it's parallel parking for, on an angle. Maybe we can move the spaces a little further in our property.
Well, what is
Obviously, we
the
have to
purpose
coordinate
of
with their
that,
engineer.
to allow more parking for who?
Well, the residents.
For the residents?
For the residents, and those
But
spaces.
right now, that's not resident parking, that's just public parking.
Those spaces along the street would have to probably be public parking.
Yeah,
Most of it's-
exactly, they're gonna, right.
So the idea is, it's a balancing factor, right? So the board has to figure, do we want to try to get as many parking spaces as we can? Or would we rather err on the side of super cautious and, have it redesigned so there may be less parking spaces? But if the board is more comfortable with that, that's certainly your preference.
The board doesn't have to come to a decision.
Correct.
No, we're just throwing things out.
Correct, we'll certainly look into all the options for the parking on.
So you're not gonna have any parking, on your facility?
Yes,
Isn't that it? Where is that gonna be?
Here is on the site.
That's behind.
Where?
This is behind this building here.
Which is across State Street?
Yes, oh, actually, in the model, it's over here.
Where the basketball courts are now.
Yeah.
I thought a building was gonna be there.
No, there's enough,
There's room there.
there's enough room to have the building
Oh,
plus
okay.
parking.
There's room before you fall off the cliff.
Yes.
Where's your playground?
The playground is here.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, and then there's another little parking area up here.
Yeah. Hi.
We're sorry, but you know what, the best thing, we're gonna update everything, so when you start sending it to, Randall, he can put it on.
Yeah, we could, sorry, we
Yeah,
didn't send that
that's
earlier. Yeah.
Yes,
We have to move into the.
hi, I'm Brian Brooker from Brooker Engineering, it's a Weston and Sampson Engineering Company. I'm the site engineer and the site civil for the whole project. So there's a lot of things that go on to this plan besides just the buildings. And let me just explain a bunch of them. One, you just mentioned this parking along the street. The street is a really wide street. We could do a little angle parking to allow the cars to.
Now, what street is that? Is
travel.
that Columbia?
Columbia. Yeah, let me just orient you. This is Columbia Street. So now you're looking straight down from the sky onto the property. North Street is here. State Street is currently here.
Second Street.
I mean, second.
North,
No, that's State
No,
Street.
no.
This is Second. Street.
north side.
Second, no, second, you
North
said
side.
north, no.
You said north.
It's North Second Street, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
And State Street and Columbia.
Okay,
The first street's down off the paper.
And you're making a street that's gonna match with the street that goes,
Yeah, this is First Street.
Okay.
So right now, you can't make a right here. There's, a actual bank of earth.
Right.
And over here, you can't make this because there's a wall there. But eventually, this would pass through. The reason we did that is because we want to turn State Street into a pedestrian way from this point to this point. We can't bring it down further because this is a parking lot somebody has to get into. So there'll be bollards at both ends that prevent cars from traveling down there. But those would be movable so that the fire trucks could go through. If you leave it open, somebody will drive there no matter what.
How many parking spaces do you have on your site, other than those that are pulling in? Like the one behind the building and the small one over
Here we
there?
have 55 spaces, here we have 11.
11.
So those 66 that are currently on the property altogether. And we have 31, although we're going to allow this to be a street of some kind, these are physically on the property. So this
we're talking about making an easement to allow the public to travel through. But the parking spaces would be reserved for members, for residents of the project.
That's only those, but
And
the other
total, and
ones
then
for everybody.
these would be public. There is another 35, which we would create, that would be sort of a public parking.
Well, they could be they could be noted as private parking for this.
Well, it's on,
Because it's on the street.
so I'm not sure how.
Well, it's backing
No,
out.
no, it's actually on the site of the housing.
Yeah, well, this black line are
On the
whatever
street.
right away, so
Well, it is.
the space is half in the property and half out.
Okay, so you would have, so if they were exclusively for the housing authority, you'd have what, 120 parking spots?
Yes.
Yes, something like that. 55, 31, 86. and
It's
11.
125. 126, actually.
Yeah. Okay, but, so the point is that there's more parking than there is now per apartment. Currently, there's only one parking space for every 3 apartments in the current buildings that you have.
So you'd have 50% ratio almost.
Well, there's
One- and
one
25,
parking space
you got
and there's
250.
3
Yes, that's right.
residents. The new configuration, if you include this additional parking, you have 1 for 2.
Right, yeah, that's what we're saying.
So, yes. And so it's an improvement over the current situation. And since this is neighborhood parking, it doesn't necessarily have to be just for this if they're not using it. But I'm sure people want to park in the most convenient place that they can.
Could that be adjusted, well, the two issues there, could that be angular and could that be
Yes,
adjusted?
they could
so
be
that it's
angular.
all on the housing authority property and it's not half street.
I would say that's not a good idea, and the reason I would say that, if you're gonna put it along, let's say here, is because now the back of the space is so far in that people are gonna be parallel parking behind the people in the spaces. Cause this road is already 30 to 35 feet wide. If you make it another 10 feet wide, it'll be 45 feet wide. And then people are backing out. It's sort of like a big parking lot where you don't really have lanes, so it's a no man's land. I find that's more dangerous than when people know where they can drive and where they expect the other car to come and go. So we could talk about that, but I'm not sure that that's the preferred way to do it. So let me just touch on some other things. So this pedestrian way, we're gonna close off. Fire trucks can come in to fight a fire. This is private parking. This is some kind of parking. We talked about a commercial space here. This road slopes 15 feet from the east to the west, downhill towards the river. So since the building is level, that means the building climbs out of the ground by 15 feet, which creates this basement that we call a basement. But it's really at grade. It's really, then the building at this point would look to be 6 stories because of course it's 15 feet and then 5 stories. So that's high enough to get a commercial tenant in there and also space that we could use for
Don't you have the trucks, don't you have your operational trucks and vehicles?
Well, I don't know if they would do that, but we could talk about that. But this space is uncommitted at this point. We just know that we're getting that for no extra cost because we have to make the building flat. And we're gonna play with the grade. If we're gonna leave the grade there, we're gonna have an exposed part of the building, which could be used for a lot of different tenants.
Do you still have plans to have the commercial up here? Some commercial space here?
That I don't know.
Yes, that definitely.
Are you having commercial
Yes,
space
there's
here?
commercial here,
On the first floor.
and then you can have it in this exposed area.
So this has a high ceiling, which commercial space is like. 15-foot ceiling is something that's desirable.
That could be a grocery.
What is your proposed number of commercial spaces that you're planning to have in this project?
I think at the moment it's 2,800 square feet.
No, not at footage, how many spaces?
Oh, there's one at the moment for loading.
Just one?
at the moment, they're the only ones that show the intersection.
Right, but if you add the other space.
Yeah, I think the 20
Yeah,
acres
the water
here,
there,
and
the
then
loading,
this could be
loading
added.
and unloading.
So two.
Like, possibly.
This is 60 feet by about 100, so it's 6,000 square feet available.
So that could be more.
Okay, yeah.
I would a little less.
So 80 and 100. Potentially.
Potentially, I mean, I'm sure once somebody sees it, they probably can't conceive of it, how it would look or work now, but once they see it, I think probably there would be interest generated in that space.
And the housing authority would offer that at sort of preferential with pricing for non-for-profits or.
No.
So you don't see it, would it be market rate?
No, businesses.
Oh, no, it is.
Communities, no.
Yeah, can I add something? I also, one of the things that is happening with this project is there's a lot of tenant feedback, so those spaces that we're really concerned about right now with commercial space and what could go in there, if they want a community room, some of those conversations would be the tenants' decisions on what they want to see on their property. So I think that's important to keep in consideration when you're trying to visualize the final project, is what the tenants are identifying that they want to see on this property too.
So there's no designated or assigned community room spaces at present?
There will be.
Maybe that would be communicated by you all, like to present maybe at the next meeting, what the tenants have told you they desire.
Yeah, because we didn't
Because
get
we're
those.
not privy to that.
Well, it will change as the project develops, that's what I'm saying, that this is what commercial spaces get put in is tenant input too, so I don't want you to think that rolling grocer is the only option because that's all the tenants need. They're still having regular tenant meetings, the tenants meet with the developers regularly to express those needs. So
As far as
when
what
develop-
type of commercial space, that's not a concern, we just want to know how many. You know, we want it to be shown on the plans that if you've got 9,000 square feet of commercial space, and forgive me, because I don't know what 9,000 square feet is, we want to see.
Well,
And
Madam
that's a
Chair,
possibility of 5 spaces, you know, whatever.
well, that's to be developed because of the height variation. By the way, I'm Joel Mountke of Mountco Construction, we're the partners with HHA on the project. The buildings are outfitted with uses, community room, bicycle rack room, all the traditional stuff. And the tenants have full use of all these areas, storage, so there's not, so all the, what you would expect to be in the building, which is required from us from New York State, will be in the building.
Okay.
And then the areas we're talking right now are really ancillary. The 6,000 square feet is just by luck at the moment. But we've always had idea of a commercial retail food service on, as you look at the building to the right side, so they could actually unload from the side street. So the building's fully equipped with everything that's needed for a Class A development.
And one of
Back to you.
the questions I want to ask, if you're gonna put a boulder up, you said, so nobody could come through the street.
Bollard, yeah.
So does that move automatically when the emergency vehicle comes?
We haven't designed that yet, but typically either the bollards go down into the ground and come
And they
up.
come up?
Some of those I don't find as reliable as like a gate, so you have a bollard, a gate, and a bollard, so that you can open the gate. Cause then there's no moving parts, and no maintenance of if you have a disappearing bollard, it turns out it's a maintenance issue. And if it doesn't work when you need it to work, that's not good. So we'll work out exactly how to close off the street, but being a pedestrian way, it's for people to walk and sit and be in an environment that's pleasant to be outside.
So
It's bringing the community together.
And you're
Yeah,
sending
not
more
just gonna be
traffic.
for the residents, it's gonna be for the entire community.
Yeah.
Kind of cafes out there, umbrella.
And you take
Absolutely. We went.
That was the
presentation.
presentation.
That was the
presentation. Was there.
Paris and Hudson.
Okay.
A little bit more about the boring stuff that I do. Which is, we have stormwater to worry about, we have
Yeah.
stormwater
I'll turn
regulations
you on
to
this, yes.
comply with. We have sanitary discharges, we have water supply, we have all of those issues are part of our design of the whole building to supply. There was mention of geothermal heat, I'm not sure, and cooling.
You're looking into it, yes.
Well, you got it, well,
It's an
okay,
option, but not a definite geothermal.
okay,
Solar, of course, it is.
okay.
Right. So I didn't hear that that was the definite, so I want to make that clear that it's not, fully committed to Victoria. And that,
Just saying, when you come back, I know we're just fleshing this out at this point, but where you expect to have storefronts, we wanna understand how it's gonna interface with the road, how do people get in and out, where it
Oh, yes,
opens.
the next step is to develop elevations
Yeah.
and the plan in more detail.
And you're gonna do, okay.
Right, you come back with lighting and,
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've actually developed some of that, but this was, as I suggested, the general plan to the planning fund.
When do you guys expect to, come back with, how fast are you moving? I mean,
As fast as
because,
possible.
please, because I know you're
And
gonna
I
come
don't
back.
say that jokingly, like,
No, you
our
have
building
to.
is not in the best condition, so the sooner the better. So I'm pushing.
Understood, move with your
force it.
plans, because
Yes.
when you come back and you want us to approve something because you need your funding,
Sure.
that's not fair, so. I want you to, like, when you go home tonight, start.
Already thinking.
Okay,
We appreciate that.
where's the main office gonna be now? In this, it's
the what?
Yeah.
Alright, so you're gonna be like down the street from here, okay, got you, nice. And is that a little amphitheater? Section that you have there? Okay.
A thought,
Well,
an architect's thought, but for us right now, it's a thought.
the land is sloping down,
Right.
so it will be shaped in some manner.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it has to slope, so we're shaping.
I'm gonna ask a question.
Right. Or it could
Wasn't
be
there something about,
sledding.
pole on the roof? If a building catches on fire, the firemen can't put it out.
Usually you have to have setbacks around from the perimeter, so.
Oh, yeah, this
The
is
fire
fine,
code
this
requires-
shows the concept, but
They gotta
there's
shut
going
the
to be,
golf course.
everything is done to code.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, the pedestrian ways to the New York State Department of Transportation guidelines, they're actually, there's a very elaborate book that shows all what needs to be done.
Anyway, and I just have to ask, there's no way that you can make one of the buildings with drive-through parking underneath with all the slopes?
You could put parking in that 6,000 square foot, if you give up some of the potential use there,
What do you mean, the building?
where it slopes down, the rest of it's on grade. So,
Think about it.
yeah, if you'd rather see parking and some sort of use in the space, sure, we could look into it, but.
underground.
I don't think we should give that thought away yet at the moment, because we might all find a good use for that space.
Yeah, it could be a real public amenity.
Right.
In several of the meetings, with the public and tenants,
Further. That way you could get double parking all the way up.
This building?
Yep, pull it 18 feet further into the site, that would allow you to have double parking along that entire road.
that is something I wanted to ask you. Your code calls for 20-foot spaces by 10, which is pretty well antiquated. I mean, we use 18 by 9
People
everywhere.
routinely get variances from the zoning board
Yep.
from that dimension.
Okay, because you mentioned 8 feet, and I know that magic number. So you're correct. If we were to be able to move the building in, we might be able to get
amphitheater.
It's 66 spaces. Now. And the back plus that side gives you 66. The back of that
Yes.
plus that side.
Yep,
Will
yeah,
give you-
got it.
will give- will match the curve.
All right.
So, yeah.
Just in these spot to gain 18 spaces or whatever.
Yeah,
that
but
is.
that's a beautifully designed
Yeah.
courtyard.
I mean, there's no, I mean, as far as I know, there's no parking requirement in the town.
That is correct, but
Okay.
they still consider parking.
You're at the planning board,
Convenience
that's
to
the
tenants and people.
I don't know, I like.
Obviously, he hasn't been looking at television.
So, Madam Chair, if I may. Parking comes up for every project, and it's all about meeting the needs of the car, and it drives everybody's price up. So what you wanna do is you wanna provide the right amount, not too much, not too little.
Exactly.
So we need to land on that spot, and I'll offer you, from a sustainability perspective, the concept that if we get pretty much the right amount of parking on the site, and if we leave Columbia Street with public parking on both sides, what you can do is you can count that, because residential parking peaks overnight, right? So you're gonna need your most parking overnight, and the only people that will be there overnight are the residents. So you can factor in, if you want,
Yes.
that there's parking on Columbia parallel on both sides like it is now. And then during the day, when many of the residents go to work or whatever, there's no parking on both sides further down on Columbia beyond Second, because the street gets a little narrow. And during the day,
It's between First and Front.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon, you're correct, yes. During the day, when many of the residents are away at work,
We understand.
there'll be less demand, and when people want to come in from the other neighborhoods to use the park, those spaces will be available.
Oh, yeah.
We need to have this dialogue and figure out what the right number is, and then figure out how many of them are on site, but I would encourage us to use what parking we can on the street to meet both the neighborhood's needs and the residents'
Does this
needs.
street have the alternate parking?
Yeah, no, Columbia Street has both.
Yeah.
Is it
So
alternate or
only
you
one
can fall
side?
on both sides? It's alternate.
It's alternate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we would have to
That
take
is
it into
something
account.
that.
Yeah, but I just wanted to put that in there, because parking drives a lot of projects, and it drives in the wrong direction if you don't get it right.
So question about your solar,
Thank you.
yes, thank you. So solar, are you gonna have batteries, to capture some of that, so that would provide backup power? If, because right now, the
Yeah.
building does have a backup generator,
Yeah,
would you use like batteries to?
yeah, we'll use the latest battery technology.
And then you're gonna have some car chargers.
Yes, good idea.
You said yes, then you said it was a good idea.
So you were open.
And all current developments will involve the car chargers and everything, of course, yeah.
All right,
We're not
well,
gonna say name of anyone right now.
No, exactly.
We don't want any vandalism, but we'll have the charges there.
Generic car charger.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty generic.
okay, so, you're gonna do this in 2 phases. Phase 1 is now coming very soon, so next month you'll be here more advanced. Even though you think this is. what
But
they said.
they're looking for full site plan approval, and they'll just construct and things.
Okay.
Yeah, this is phase one in yellow, and this is phase two. And
Okay, so next month we're on, right?
Yes.
Coming with.
next month.
If that works.
Yeah, no, we'll be here next month.
And you're gonna be more advanced, consider that pulling parking. Get rid of that.
Joel, you have something to say?
Oh, maybe you guys have done the work. Might as well just pay for it.
Actually, one question,
Yeah.
if they're not ready to come next month, and they can submit a full package, that's the better way to do it.
Okay, so you heard the consult, if you can submit a package to us, but you're not ready to come to present, that's moving forward.
Okay.
Okay, Christopher is our engineer consultant for the planning board, and Cassandra and Victoria are attorneys. So if you could submit a package to us, they'll look at it, they'll review it.
All right, can you
Okay.
just clarify what your ask is about this parking here? I just wanna be certain.
What street is that?
This is
Okay.
Columbia.
I just don't like to pull it.
Teresa, I have a question about the parking. What are the rules for similar parking, around the corner from CVS on 7? Because that's a similar.
I hate that
setup.
too.
But the road would be double down at this property, so there's more space.
You know, I
And
find
is
it,
it alternate side parking up there?
I think it's better diagonal as you suggest, like at CBS,
we're
straight in.
asking for alternate to that,
Okay.
okay?
I
That's
just
what
wanna
we
be clear.
Right now, you know, we need alternate to that. I mean, you're a citizen of Hudson and you see 7th Street. That's dangerous. I mean, every time I go down 7th Street,
So
it
that
is.
makes it.
I wish they would change that. I mean, it'd be less parking, but at least people won't. It has happened to me several times when I could see their lights backing up.
My question is more like, I just don't know what the rule is for like alternate side parking for the folks that live there.
There's
Does
no
that
alternate side
not, it
parking
doesn't
on that street.
apply there? Okay.
There's no.
There's no alternate side parking on
No,
Columbia?
on where they're talking about on
Oh, on
7th.
7th Street, no,
No alternate
there's no
side.
alternate, yeah,
Just
everything
those
is,
parking spots.
right, it's meter parking on one side and that's it.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't get your question. Okay, so we'll see you, submit your plans when you're ready.
And I noticed you're looking ahead.
Keep in touch please keep in touch with us.
Questions?
Yes.
But it's not a problem.
I just got one more question.
Okay, go ahead. Let's see.
Looking ahead, I noticed you're looking ahead, but
Yes.
are you gonna submit a demolition plan for the building that addresses, I was being able to take that down.
There'll be demolition plans and.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Full set of
see that.
drawings.
Okay, now, sir,
Nathan would also be on Union Street. Nathan would also be on Union Street. I'm excited about this whole project. I'm excited for more housing in Hudson. I just have one like narrow question about the basement slash the commercial space. That was partially, is that, I just like, it sounded like there's maybe, Nick, you were talking about like balancing the number of units. My view is like, we get as many units as possible that it feels like we're getting for Hudson. So I just want to make sure, I don't know if it is not appropriate for an actual housing unit because it's partially below grade, or like how to like maximize the housing.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Whether the exposed basement area, could be housing.
could be added.
Yeah, well, look, again, I was not aware of that space that you mentioned, Brian, we gotta go back and check it. You were right with 25 years, but I was not aware of it, we will look at it, and if housing, a townhouse or something, we'll.
Chair,
Yes.
I have a question.
What's
Great
your name?
project, I love it.
What's
What's the
your name?
longevity of this project if
Who's that?
the Bliss Towers are only 40 years?
What is your name, sir?
Keith.
Keith,
What's your call?
what?
The longevity of the project.
Is New York State gonna have to come back in? This one, is New York State gonna have to come back in 40 years? Knock it down and pay for another one?
No, we hope they build it better.
Well, I think it's huge, the issue with this, and that was, we were not involved with it. And I'd like to pick up even in 40 years, but I won't. It was inferior construction.
That's great.
That was the problem with
That's
this.
what I was alluding to.
Exactly, well, a little bit about us, on Malco Construction, John and you are our top officers behind you. We've been in business 37 years May, we built 5,000 units in the Hudson Valley, of which I'm the managing member of 3,000 of those units. And our bonding capacity is $1 billion. I like to think that we do the work.
So your grandkids are gonna be able to go look and say.
Our great grandchildren, they won't be working. Move on to the point, you know, but anyhow, so we like to think we'll do a better job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and we're looking forward to that. Okay, so we're going to let you go this, see you next month, get started. Keep in touch with our consultants, attorney, us, so that it's when you come, you move on. Who is the contact person? Do we have all your email address?
You can get to me.
Oh, wait a minute, hold it. We gotta establish escrow, don't go anywhere.
I told them.
That's right.
I told them.
That's right. Okay, can I get a motion to establish escrow for Hudson Housing? Gene has the resolution. Can I get a motion to establish escrow? But, hello, Hudson Housing Authority.
I think it's, you're gonna talk about escrow.
A motion to adopt the resolution to establish escrow for Hudson Housing Authority
I make a motion.
at $25,000.
I make a motion.
Second, all in favor? Okay, so you make out a check to the city of Hudson, New York, and you submit it as for escrow, put on the bottom escrow. And you submit it to the treasurer's office. That's right around the corner. Okay, now, sir. You. John. Please, okay? So it's not new, it's new to a lot of
So you said it was 25,000?
Yeah, 25,000. I wrote it down, right?
Yes.
We're gonna send you a resolution, but we're gonna upload it into.
Whatever's unused, if there's any, obviously get that.
Thank you very much, everyone.
And who first did? Randall?
Yeah.
And G's back, right? Okay, that's good. Now we're gonna go, okay, now we got the lady that's supposed to do the presentation. You're supposed to send her the link. Wendy. Send Wendy the link.
Send me an email of where Wendy's at.
Look at your thing, I sent you an email.
Well, can we call her, make sure that she's available? Wendy, I got it.
You got a telephone number there?
I do something. Yes, I got it.
You gonna call her or you want me to call?
No, I'm gonna do it right now.
You want me to call her?
Yeah, just let it know, send it a link right now.
Okay.
Hey, Lola.
I'm gonna call her and see. What's the number, Randall?
Oh, I don't know, let me just do this.
Yeah.
Why don't we start, we still
What is her number, Randall, please?
I don't know.
why don't we do the bill?
Yeah, I know. I'm going to call her. If you want, there's nothing I can do, but I wanna see if she can give the person. Well, there's nobody here to give it to.
How long is the presentation?
There's nobody here to give it to.
I think we should start with that next time.
You got a number? Anybody got
I don't have a phone number, but I did just send her the link.
I mean, I think you gotta wait.
Cause that's what I
Oh,
told her.
wait a minute, hold on. 347.
Okay, no.
244.
47244.
Yeah. 4888.
4888. Let me see.
What time is the workshop?
9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock with a 30-minute leeway, hard stop meaning we don't do anything more, we just kind of close up. But if she's available.
I thought we were doing 8:30.
Okay, she's not there. She
Let
didn't
me
answer.
see.
Did she answer you? Cause she's not.
I'm gonna look at the full participant list. Maybe she's on, I don't know.
If you're available, you can log on and. If you're not, that's fine. Next time.
No, so far, I just have Justin.
Okay, she didn't answer?
Did not answer. I just sent it a minute ago.
Okay, so until she answers, we can move on to is there anything that would be discussed between the committee reports and discussion? Anybody?
I got Wendy.
Oh, you got it, what she said?
She's coming, she's coming.
She coming? Okay.
Yeah, guys.
Feel better.
Thank you.
Hey, Wendy, can you hear us?
Hi, yes, I can. Hello.
Okay, hold on 1 second, I'm gonna highlight you. Hold on. Okay,
In the meantime, let's approve the bills.
Oh, no, she's here. Wendy's right there. Give me a moment. See if we can get you all straight there.
But let's approve the bills. Come on.
Well, she's on right now.
So Wendy, do you have a PowerPoint that you want to share?
Yeah, I do. Hi, everybody. I'm Wendy Andringa.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me make you full
Okay,
screen.
now this company is the company that's been hired by the city to beautify the Henry Hudson waterfront.
Yeah, give me one
And they've
second.
already been in contact with Caruso. Yes, so they're going to try and work together with Caruso, along with public comments and planning board comments, to do something, because the part that they've been hired to design is the property that butts up right next to.
The old abandoned warehouse.
Yes,
Right there.
right, all the way to that parking lot and the edge that you were saying is horrible.
Okay.
Remember you said you wanted trees over there? This is the part that they've been hired to
Move
do.
everything around, right?
No, you guys, can you see? You're gonna have to maybe move so you can see us.
We'll just turn around, everybody, Okay, Wendy, go ahead.
Okay.
Can you see? Go ahead.
When you're able to see my screen, just let me know.
Yeah, we got second screen.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, everybody, and I'm happy to be able to share the climate adaptive design for the Henry Hudson Riverfront Park in Hudson for all of you, and I hope that it's of benefit with this issue. So let's see. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of delay here. Okay, so just a little bit of background. This project is actually it's been going on since 2016, and it's for the most part been funded by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and the New England Interstate Water Pollution Control Commission. So it began in 2016 when the City of Hudson partnered with Cornell University Department of Landscape Architecture to do a design studio, which the students looked at solutions for the way climate change was going to impact the waterfront in Hudson. Then in 2022, I led a team that completed the community engagement and the climate adaptive design of Henry Hudson Riverfront Park. And that was adopted by the Hudson Common Council in 2022. In progress now, we're leading a team that's completing the design, the permitting, and the documentation for bidding and construction. And the construction is anticipated for 2027. So this is a look at a sort of bird's eye view of Henry Hudson Riverfront Park. It's right here between the North Bay and the South Bay. And it is sort of separated from the city by the Amtrak line. And really what the grant goals are for this project, again, funded by the Department of Environmental Conservation, is to design a clean and thriving watershed, to design for climate adaptive communities, to conserve natural areas for wildlife, source water, and scenery, and to keep the river accessible for people of all ages and abilities and connect people to nature. Very important there. And just some context, the adjacent projects to the area that we're designing, which is outlined in the pink dashed line here, which you can see is just north of the Colarusso property. So adjacent is the Dunn Warehouse development that is sort of underway right now, and that's going to revitalize an old historic industrial building that is like the last remaining remnant of industry along the waterfront, which is going to be a really great community hub. And then also the Ferry Street Bridge, which is nearing construction completion. And that's a bridge that crosses over the Amtrak tracks and will become a much more direct connection to the waterfront from Warren Street in downtown. So right now, the point of crossing to the park is Broad Street, which is at grade and means that people have to cross the tracks. So that's just something to keep in mind. So why climate adaptation? Well, this is a view of the park in 2022, and these kind of floods are becoming more and more common. They happen, they occur every winter now. So it's not only, climate change is not only in the future, but the more frequent flooding is starting to happen right now. So that's that's a big part of our charge with this park design. And this is a sea level rise map showing how the park will be impacted in the future. And this map is based on the New York State DEC's highest percentile projections. So the 2050 shoreline is close to, will just impact the edge of the park. Whereas in 2080, if there were to be 54 inches of sea level rise, the water will inundate the park much more quickly. That's the medium blue shade. And then the 2100 sea level rise is, if that were to be 71 inches, is the light blue color. So this is just to show you this is what's informing our design. And these are some views of the south end of the park in the area that we're designing. So these are the existing conditions. And so it's what these photos show is that this area is really wild and natural, and it's been somewhat neglected. But for that reason, it's also has a natural character to it. So there's some things that we want to be able to preserve here, and that's the natural character. And then there's some things that we want to be able to improve upon, such as in the lower right-hand corner, there's a historic railroad bridge that's in serious disrepair. And so we look at those things as opportunities for enhancement in the future. And part of our design process in 2022 was to do community engagement. So we did a year's worth of meetings, we did public meetings, we did focus groups with different special interests, different groups that use the park. And we also had an advisory council, and we met with them bi-monthly, and they sort of steered us and gave us feedback on the design as we went. We heard things about this south end of the park, such as there's so much potential here for this area to be an aquatic learning environment, and why is the end of the park so underutilized? We also heard about Rick's Point, the parking lot. Why isn't this area more accessible for people? And why can't we replace the parking with more green space? So these are the kind of things that, again, informed our design. So this is a plan view of the design we're in progress right now. And we're looking at this area for this grant because it is designated as a priority area by the Department of Environmental Conservation. And this area offers a balance of economic, ecological, and community benefits. And what we want to be doing here is providing habitat uplift to really restore this area and make it a really better performing in terms of its ecological uplift. So to that end, I'll just run through. We're looking at restoring woodlands along the east side and south side next to the Colarusso property. And that area is really going to be most utilized, not only by the public, but also by the Hudson Sloop Club. They do a lot of ecological educations in conjunction with Waterfront Wednesdays. So we've been talking with them a lot about how this space could be better designed for them. We're also
Luso?
No,
Because they're Luso.
Sloop Club.
That's Nick.
Was there a question?
That's okay, they answered it.
Oh,
When you ask a question. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Whitney. Are you
Okay.
finished?
Almost. So woodlands, we're also going to be restoring the shoreline. So it can be more responsive to flooding and absorb more of that water, and also just get the shoreline ready for as the water level starts to rise and advance. We're going to design rain gardens that will be absorbing water and improving water quality as water runs off of the street and pavement. And then we're also proposing to green Rick's Point and create a fishing pier at the end of it. And I'll go into more details about that in a second. These are a few of the main features of the area. The first is the pedestrian bridge. And that's on the top left corner. And that's going to be where the old railroad bridge is right now. And that's the reason this bridge is critical is because it's the missing link to get from the north side of the park to this south side. At the moment, if people want to reach the south area, which is adjacent to the Colarusso property, they have to walk on his service road to get there. And people are usually don't know about it. They're unwilling to do that because of traffic. So the restoration of this railroad bridge is a key to getting to having sort of unlocking all of that public space for people. So there's a system of paths that that move through here and get people to the south side. The south side is on the right. Again, the education area that the Hudson Sloop Club is, is going to be sort of activating over here. Would entail a drive that's dedicated to them. They work. They do their education work out of a trailer right now. So we're making a space that would enable them to back up their trailer into that area. And then also we're proposing a new water access point, which is directly next to the property line in this very last southernmost slip. And a lot of people don't even know about this slip because it's so hard to get to. We call it the secret slip. So So back over towards Rick's Point, where there's an image on the bottom right, which is of the fishing pier, the proposed fishing pier, and also the restored living shoreline. We're proposing a natural play area adjacent to the Dunn warehouse. So this area would be converted, which it's all gravel right now, would be converted to green space, a picnic grove, and a play area. And that would support the kind of activities that are happening over at the Dunn warehouse. So all in all, it's really a big restoration effort here.
I want to ask you, have you been in contact with Colarusso? I think you had sent me an email that you were in contact with.
Yes, actually we are, and we've reached out to him, and you know, we haven't scheduled a date yet for our meeting, but we want to coordinate with him the design and how it sort of interfaces with his property line, and see how together, you know, we can find a solution that works for everyone.
That'll be nice, and it'd be nice to keep us informed. I mean, we really don't have much to do, just say, but we would like to be kept informed. We would like to be kept informed to, you know, what you guys do together, so thank you. Go ahead, Kate.
It's very exciting to hear about the woodland and the natural habitat, you know, sensitivity to that. I have two questions, which is, one, what is the size of the grant? And two, who will maintain these natural scapes over time?
So we are working we are in conversation, I guess, with the Conservation Advisory Council and the Columbia Land Conservancy right now, and which Columbia Land Conservancy is spearheading Friends of Hudson Parks right now, and so we are talking about stewardship and trying to, you know, sort of think through how Hudson could expand, you know, the current maintenance regime that they have right now to take on the maintenance here. It definitely has to be expanded.
It's a big concern ongoing because Columbia Land Conservancy, I don't walk all their spaces, but I know that budget has been a big issue with them. So that's my question. Who's gonna fund the maintenance of these wildscapes? You know, these natural scapes, because it takes skill. You know, it's not clearing, it's tending. It's a different kind of thing that Hudson hasn't been used to in the city of Hudson.
Right, right. Well, we're two things. We're first of all trying to we're designing things that are going to be as low maintenance as possible. We're not doing things that, you know, we know we have the budget in mind, and so to the greatest extent possible, we're keeping things sort of, you know, under control. And secondly, we are talking with the advisory council and the Sloop Club about their capacity to help engage in stewardship and to kind of lead that effort. So it is something that's sort of at the floor and we're thinking about.
And what's the size of the grant? What is that number?
So the grant that is it's for design fees right now. So after we complete the documents, there's going to be a fundraising period. And so we've already started to target and identify potential grants for the city. And so the idea is that this is going to be fully grant funded.
And so far, how much has been spent on this project, the design of it?
so far, well, the total grant for this phase of the work is 275,000. So,
Thank you, that's helpful. It puts
yeah.
it in a, you know.
Yeah. And it's a year-long process. We did environmental investigations. We've done a geotech. We have to like find out what's under the soil and deal with all the historic, the legacy contamination and things like that. So yeah, we're almost halfway through the process.
Wendy, I wanna ask you, to submit your comments to us. You know, we're in the process now of granting a conditional use permit to Caruso. So if there's anything that you will suggest that, you know, us as a planning board can impose upon him to help with your project, please submit that to us and submit this, the PowerPoint to us. We wanna put it on we're gonna contact you so you can upload it to our portal. So it can be available for the public.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yep,
Okay.
that sounds good. And yeah, I think our first step will be to meet with Mr. Colarusso and and talk about the
Do that too, because next month in the public hearing. We're having this public hearing on the 10th, so it would be nice if you can get us some comments on your suggestions.
The 10th of April?
Yeah, 10th of April.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for Wendy? Thank you, Wendy. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Just in follow-up to what Virginia was saying, if there are some specific things in terms of tending and maintaining this, would your organization be willing to train the city, DPW, people so that they can, to the extent that they can do this, that they would, so that would
How about
encompass
the
some
youth
of the
give them a
main.
job for the summer? How about the youth can do that, train the youth.
DPW has enough to do.
How about training the youth?
Well, what I can say is that, that property since about 2015, or a portion of that property that is on this, that is where we're talking about in terms of woodland, and I think where a lot of plantings would go, is something that the sloop club has been stewarding since, I wanna say around 2015, Gene, when we first did that project. On there, and so if you had gone in 2015, you couldn't access it at all. All overgrown, and now, it's cleared a little bit, but there's enough room to still see the wildlife and the, some of the native and some of the invasive species that are there. But we've been taking care of it for a while, and I think at one of the last meetings, we had a discussion with the Conservation Advisory Council, which does a lot of the tree planting in town. And so we're in talks with them to combine on kind of not putting more load on the DPW, which already has a very difficult job they're trying to do. How can we do it? We already do community cleanups down there, we bring in kids, we bring in community members, and I think trying to do more of that, and what I like is that their design is not, like, there will be maintenance, but it's not tree pruning and all of this really careful stuff that has to happen. They're trying to design with native species that can grow and do their thing and are as low maintenance as possible, but we have that lease, and that's part of what we consider the payment for that lease, is really taking care of that property. And that's what for as long as we're there, we'll continue to do as the sloop club. And I think as more people get down there, as more development happens, this project moves forward, there are gonna be more people and more opportunities for volunteers, for, we bring school trips down there and waterfront Wednesdays, so more and more.
So plans are in the work to maintain it.
And so you have a budget or a methodology to do, I just figured if the city did it, it wouldn't be an extra cost, but you're saying in the way that you're involved in the project, that you'll incorporate this, that time and expense.
The sloop club takes on, mostly volunteer hours that we put towards it, but that's part of our,
When you build it, you can do whatever it is that it requires.
I think that once, if the landscape plans that they've talked about, I think would actually be an improvement, and once they're in place, right now, poison ivy, all the invasives are a huge amount of work every year. we were able to do the initial work, and then we're gonna have to pay for a lot of it, to remove a lot of those vacancies, put new ones in. It'll be less maintenance going forward than it is right now.
Well, we thank you for sharing this with us, Wendy, we really do, we appreciate it. Send us the, PowerPoint so we can put it on our, as a matter of fact, you should get in touch with the secretary so it can be put on the, on the portal. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody. My pleasure.
Too bad the public left. That's who it was for.
Well, it's live streamed and we have it, so.
I heard it. Okay. So now we're going to go in, do anybody on the planning board have any questions, to talk to? I just want you all to know that, Jean and I met with the treasurer and Tracy, Tracy. Right.
Oh,
City clerk and the city treasurer to go over the escrow procedures and, you know, kind of find out what happens once we approve the bills. They told us what happens, and now we fully understand what happens, okay? But a lot of things in the beginning, when this escrow thing first started, we did have issues, but we're not having those issues anymore, because you guys are, we have the same attorneys and the same consultants. Before, we used to have different right? But we have the same consultants, the same attorneys, and you submit your bills at the same time, so.
The other question I do have is, we have a couple projects on there, we got the planning board CAS authorization, or it's any side stuff that's not to do with project. That, you know, we have that fee for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think color, so all road is not on there. Are you okay with getting those bills in one lump sum, like the way we used to do it? We're doing the certification of completion for the floodplain permit.
But that's not us, that's the HCPDA.
You're the escrow for
You're the
that.
escrow for that.
No, we're not, for the floodplain permit?
Yes.
No, we're not the escrow for
No,
that.
you are, because they don't have the legal ability to take escrow.
No, they did, they already took escrow, the HCPDA took escrow for that,
Okay,
and that's who pays you.
okay.
They had a $5,000 escrow.
Good. We're gonna get paid for it.
Right, you're getting paid from from them, okay, not us.
Okay.
But can I ask this though? Can you guys, as we come to an end of a project before we, you know, they get their final approval from us? Can you guys kind of truncate your billing process and make sure that you get that information in so that we're not chasing people after they've been
We bill
approved
on
by
a
us?
monthly basis, so every month we bill. So I can't change that process.
Well, you know what process we implemented? We are not, I'm not stamping any site plan or any.
Every single site plan you've ever approved since, you know, like been on this board, has always said fees and escrow paid.
Right,
So you shouldn't be stamping any
I don't.
plan until you know for a fact all their fees and escrow.
Well, I
But from you, but that's a meeting, a statement from you.
Yeah.
I'll have to say, right.
well, I get a statement from them that everything's done.
Right, we're gonna say, so with approval process, we say, we're getting ready to approve this. This is just to check with our consultants to make sure that they're.
Well, it really be the treasurer, it's whether or not they have, it's not us that would give you the fees and escrow is not gonna be from the consultant, fees and escrow is gonna be from the treasurer. What's the balance at the end? It should be zero. There should be, everything should be paid and everything should be balanced, so it's always gonna be 2 months or a month later to
But I'm
balance out.
saying toward the end, like, you don't wanna make the client wait an extra month until your billing period happens before we approve them.
But we
when
need, we need the treasurer to confirm that that money's in the account. It's
Well,
not
we really don't stamp the plans until months after. And that's something we're gonna also coordinate with Craig to get him to know that even though they have an approved resolution, they do not have stamp plans.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And that's something, you know.
So that'll give them enough time to say, if the plans take 30 days to go, that's your.
We're coming up on the first one, 601 Union.
Right.
Which was approved
Many months ago.
6 months ago.
Last year.
I'm finally getting to the last couple comments with them, so hopefully that's.
Cause you're saying you were doing ongoing work.
Yes.
Correct. Yep. It's been going back and forth, there's been comments.
And I won't be stamping their plans until I make sure that Jean and I make sure that all of their escrow and the bills have been paid. Even though
Right.
even though now they have an approved resolution with conditions, with restrictions.
We do, both of us, if there's a legal outstanding condition, I write a quick sign off letter and he writes a sign off letter,
Right.
all engineering.
That's when I stamp, it,
Okay.
you know, and I don't stamp them,
Okay.
and then I don't stamp the plans until we make sure that they've paid their escrow.
Right,
But yeah, that's why everything's conditioned on that.
right, so they have to pay it and it's gotta be, come out of the escrow to pay that. Okay,
So, you know, it's a process, it's not the best one, but it's the best one we're working with now.
yeah, I would just like to tighten that up, just like toward, especially toward the end.
Yeah, no, I agree, it's just.
All right, now Gina's going to do it, yes.
Well, before I do.
Do you have multi-resolution to pay the bills?
It's not his bill for us.
It's always been there.
Is that what's been there? Oh,
It's confusing, but
it is
it's not,
confusing, but it's not us.
no, it is you, it's okay, it's working out, it's more complicated, because you have the ability to take escrow. It's legally a little complex, just because technically it is them, it's kind of a joint venture.
But they have escrow, they have the money, they took $5,000.
Yes, that's correct.
Right, and one of the things, I'm on that
It shows
board.
up on bills.
No, one of the things, I'm on that board, is I said, do you have enough money?
Yes, they do. They've got plenty of money. We're getting paid. You guys have been approving
Well,
it.
we've been paying,
But yes,
It's coming out of their escrow.
It's coming out of their escrow, but you're the account holder, it's complicated, it has to do with the way escrow is taken.
and they don't mind.
Yeah, no, Chris Cheryl of my office helped.
But you are putting bills into them, aren't you? HDCDA. Okay, we're gonna talk about this.
We're talking about-
Because we gotta get Dominic involved in this, you know, that board, because they have escrow to pay you.
And that's where it's coming from. 100% that's where it's coming from.
Why is it
Not here.
Why is it on our?
Well, let's have an offline meeting, I remember this
Yeah.
meeting, I could ask my partner in the
Right,
office.
we'll take care of that later.
It was before my
So
time.
Gene, do we have a multi-bill a motion to approve all the bills?
Yeah,
Not yet.
not yet, we're gonna do
I have to.
that.
Okay,
We're trying to get them.
bill from Bond and Ladudas, total of $12,673,
Hate it?
dated 3/5/2025. Bill from RCP Attorneys,
That's good, Tony.
Victoria's Group, $4,910.56,
Dated?
dated 3/7/2025.
Does it reference the services for?
Yes,
On
that's
the
all of the services.
Can you just say that for the record, if you're gonna
No,
read
we don't, we only say the total.
it, and not the.
No, not the individual, just the total.
Individual get uploaded to the.
You got it in your email, each one of you get
Okay,
it.
okay, that's fine, as long as it's
You should
somewhere.
be reviewing the, yeah, everyone should be getting it.
You get it in your email and,
I see it, but I just say, if we can do this for the record.
okay, let's get a motion to approve the bills, then the escrow.
Alright, so we'll entertain a motion to pay the bills as presented.
I make motion.
And I'll second it. All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? All in favor? Okay, good. All right, now he's gonna come with something.
now, the escrows.
Yes,
Now, the escrow accounts for these bills, we have, Calusa short, 612 Hudson Avenue short, Boulevard short, Mill Street Lofts short, Van Winkle Road short, 4143 North Seventh Street is a wash, maybe.
We'll discuss offline again.
And Hudson Housing Authority, well,
we just, that's an example.
this is established.
Right, so we're doing a motion to replenish, first one.
No, if you want it by resolution, you have to do.
Yeah. You got a motion to adopt the resolution to replenish the following bills.
The resolution that was sent out earlier.
Right, yeah, so let's do, we gotta figure the amounts for each one.
Right, Calusa is short,
We don't like to say, just, what's the
The
motion?
motion to authorize a resolution for blank amount, so whatever.
Yeah,
you
how
want.
much, that's all we need is the amount. How much should he replenish? 10,000, 5,000, what?
Well, this is pretty short.
Okay,
So you have to.
so you wanna do 10,000?
What are they short right now?
It's 3,600.
I mean, we're gonna have a public hearing.
We're gonna have a
There's gonna be
long
additional
public
comments.
hearing, a lot of comments.
I would do 10.
And probably different folks.
Okay, so Carlos says 10,000.
So motion to adopt a resolution to replenish $10,000 in escrow for Colorusso.
Can I get a first, second? All in favor? Okay, what's the next one?
612 Hudson Avenue.
A motion to adopt the resolution for 612 Hudson Avenue to replenish the escrow and the amount
It's
of,
rounded off to $700.
Well,
make a
the
motion.
legal review's not done.
okay,
And I've been cut out of the engineering review
why?
because she wouldn't pay my bills. So they're dealing with illegal stuff right now.
It's minimal legal review, it's just finishing up the.
So probably $2,500.
Yeah, fine.
So Hudson Avenue, a motion to replenish their escrow for $3,000.
I make a motion?
All in favor? Okay, so wait a minute, who, okay, Randall?
Carol, you did it.
Second.
Who first, the first one?
Randall,
Randall,
Yes.
who second?
Patina.
Patina.
It was Patina, right?
Okay, now what's the next one?
Boulevard.
She's fading fast. Can I, get a motion to adopt the
We already
resolution?
replenished last month and they just haven't paid it.
They just haven't paid it? Okay, so we'll get in touch with them. Okay, who's next? Yeah.
Mill Street Lofts.
First, who's second?
I'm second.
Okay.
Van Winkle Road. 2,700 plus.
Didn't we do that last week?
What's that?
You already,
We established.
they never paid, so just move
Yeah.
on. We already established escrow.
Yeah, we, that was a motion
But
to
they're still
establish.
working
we never-
through their present, like,
Okay,
their stars, you know?
Yeah.
I went to all these work last night, you can do something with it.
Okay, go ahead. What's the next one?
We got another cancer. Hudson Avenue, I'm done.
We did Hudson House.
We did have some.
Okay, so I wanna do Caruso, Randall, Bettina, Mill Street, Kaylee and Randall, and Hudson Avenue, Randall and Gina, right?
Yes.
Because what I do at night, I get those done and out.
You want to give us, you have a resolution that I can send to the board for 60 South Street that you wanted to do you still? want
Okay, we're gonna have to revote on 60 South Street, because we didn't do it, South Front Street, we didn't do a resolution. So I would like to get a motion to adopt a resolution to approve 60 South Front Street application.
Sent to everyone with the conditions of the approved language that me and Christian worked together to draft and fees and escrow, so, which you did last month.
But
But
we
she want, but
and then a
Teresa wanted
resolution.
it.
All in favor?
All right.
All in, any opposed? So, I hope we did good.
Motion to,
So did I say all in favor for all the resolutions for the money? Okay, good. All right, so that's anything else? No? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from February 11th? A motion to approve the minutes for February 11th. Second? All in favor? A motion to adjourn.
Just wait till everyone.
Okay.
Second? All in favor? Okay, so we adjourn at 9:30 PM.
That was done for adjourning, okay, all right, and we're all.